The Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you so much. We'll take a moment of silence. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Rush, will you please do the roll call?
Mayor Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon,
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose. Here. Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Here.
Councilmember Griffith.
Here.
Councilmember Levison.
Here.
And Councilmember Pfeiffer, I call on you.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mayor Simpson from tonight.
All right, please proceed to vote. Oh, I'm sorry. All votes are cast. And that passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson being excused. Presented are the minutes of the City Council business meeting dated March 3rd, 2026. Are there any changes or corrections? Okay, seeing none, the minutes will stand as presented. We now have proclamations, and I will start us. I will present the proclamation for Law Enforcement Property and Evidence Professionals Week, and I believe we have a representative from the city coming forward for that. Awesome. Well, please come on down. I will read the proclamation, and I'll give you an opportunity to speak. Whereas the secure collection, preservation, storage, documentation, and disposition of property and evidence are critical functions within the criminal justice system, and law enforcement property and evidence professionals play an essential role in maintaining the integrity of evidence, ensuring proper chain of custody, and supporting investigations, prosecutions, and the fair administration of justice. And whereas these dedicated professionals work diligently behind the scenes to safeguard sensitive materials, comply with complex legal standards, manage large volumes of property, and adapt to evolving technologies and best practices. And whereas the professionalism, accountability, and expertise of property and evidence personnel protect the rights of victims, defendants, and the community while strengthening public trust in law enforcement operations. And whereas the Arvada Police Department's Property and Evidence Unit processes, on average, approximately 1,100 new evidence items each month, and the two digital media technicians managed and categorized 116,872 BWC videos, I want to know what those are, and 2,455 fleet videos in 2025. And whereas the City of Arvada recognizes the significant contributions of the Arvada Police Department's Property and Evidence Unit and honors their commitment to excellence, accuracy, and public service. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council for the City of Arvada, Colorado, that April 6th through April 10th, 2026 be designated as Law Enforcement Property and Evidence Professionals Week in the City of Arvada, and encourages all residents to recognize and appreciate the vital work performed by these professionals in support of justice and community safety, dated this 24th day of March 2026. Next, I will call on Councilmember Ambrose to present the proclamation for Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I'd like to call forward Officers Nicole Miller, Stephanie Hoffman, Holly Brenner, Deja Pettigrew, and Esther Gottinger to be recognized in receiving this proclamation. They said they also didn't have anything to say, so I'll just go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the National Animal Care and Control Association has designated the second full week of April as Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week, and whereas animal control professionals serve our community by enforcing animal-related laws, rescuing animals from abuse and neglect, reuniting lost pets with their families, and promoting responsible pet ownership, and whereas these dedicated individuals work tirelessly to protect the health, safety, and welfare of both animals and humans, often risking their personal safety to protect the public from diseases such as rabies and dangerous animals. And whereas in 2025, during their effort to keep our community and animals safe, animal management officers in the city of Arvada responded to over 5,300 calls for service, which included 834 wildlife-related calls, 397 injured animals calls, and completed 350 animal cruelty investigations. And whereas this week is a time to honor the compassion, bravery, and professionalism of the men and women who serve in this essential public safety role, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council for the City of Arvada, Colorado, that April 12th through the 18th, 2026 be designated as Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week in Arvada, and call upon all citizens to recognize the valuable contributions of our animal control officers and staff.
And now, Councilmember Davis will present the proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommuters Week.
Thank you very much. This is a position within the city that's very important, and I admire all of those who do it. I have watched these folks in action, and I'm in awe of your compassion and composure. Whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as the critical lifeline between those in crisis and the emergency responders who come to their aid, ensuring the preservation of life, protection of property, and rapid coordination of public safety services. And whereas public safety communicators must think and act quickly, gather critical details, and make split-second decisions that directly impact the well-being of those in distress. And whereas the continued vitality of the city of Arvada depends on having safe homes, neighborhoods, schools, and workplaces throughout our community. And whereas the employees of the Arvada Police Department are dedicated to delivering the highest quality police response strategies and professional police services to citizens, and whereas the delivery of quality police services is dependent on public safety dispatchers receiving and disseminating critical information 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arvada, Colorado, that April 12th through the 18th, 2026, be proclaimed as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Arvada. We urge all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, and businesses to recognize that public safety dispatchers perform a crucial service to this community and to the operation of our police department, dated this 24th day of March 2026. Anybody here to, oh, good.
And Councilmember Pfeiffer will now present the proclamation. Oh, did you have a few words to say?
Oh, it's okay. Into the mic?
Yes, please.
Thank you all for recognizing our dispatchers. We're really proud to serve this community.
Thank you. And now we're ready for Councilmember Pfeiffer to present the proclamation for Fair Housing Month.
Carrie Espinoza, you want to come up? I don't know if anyone else is going to join you or just you. Oh, and you got a speech. All right. Proclamation, whereas the month of April marks the anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and national origin. And whereas fair housing is a fundamental right, ensuring that all individuals have the opportunity to secure housing free from discrimination and enjoy the dignity of equal access to housing opportunities. And whereas housing providers, real estate professionals, policymakers, community leaders, and advocates play a critical role in upholding fair housing laws and promoting equitable housing practices that strengthen our communities. And whereas the principle of fair housing support inclusive communities, economic growth, and neighborhood stability, benefiting both housing providers and residents. And whereas the City of Arvada recognizes that ongoing education, training, and enforcement of fair housing laws are essential to eliminating discrimination and ensuring that housing opportunities remain open to all. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and the Arvada City Council that Arvada 2026 be designated as Fair Housing Month in Arvada and recognize the many people and organizations in our community who have opened the doors for housing opportunities to all residents. This is dated the 24th day of March of 2026 by the Mayor and all of Council. So I can bring this down.
Thank you, Councilmember Pfeiffer, members of council. This April marks the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. That landmark legislation established the principle that in the United States, no one should be denied housing or face discrimination in the sale, rental, or financing of a home because of their race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, or disability. In Arvada, we believe that a home is more than a roof over one's head. It is the foundation for stability, health, and economic opportunity. By signing this proclamation, the City of Arvada reaffirms that our community values diversity and is working to address barriers to equity. I thank the Arvada City Council for recognizing April as Fair Housing Month. We will continue our work to ensure that Arvada is a place where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Our last proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Griffith for Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I would like Jennifer Kemps, the Development Officer for Ralston House, Josie Martinez, to come down. She's part of CASA for Adams County and Broomfield County. I think we have a couple members from other CASA members as well that are here. Please come on down. And then also Tony Ann Nunez as well. Hi. All right. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a nurturing environment free from harm and fear, all children do not receive appropriate care. In fact, too many children become victims at the hands of abusive perpetrators. And it is up to us as a community to tirelessly work to end it through awareness and action. Every responsible person will agree that even one abused child is too many. And whereas the month of April has been designated nationally as Child Abuse Prevention Month, at this time we encourage all City of Arvada citizens to join in renewing our commitment to preventing child abuse and learning that we can do what we can do to promote the safety and well-being of children. And whereas the City of Arvada has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child abuse and to help parents obtain the assistance they need, and whereas all citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, and businesses will work to increase their efforts to support families, and whereas every child abuse prevention program, effective child abuse prevention program, such as Ralston House, Jeffco, Gilpin, CASA, and Adams Broomfield County CASA, succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and the Arvada City Council hereby designate the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We encourage all Arvada citizens to join in renewing our commitment to preventing child abuse and learning what we can do to promote the safety and the well-being of children. Every responsible person will agree that even one abused child is too many.
Would you like to say a few words?
I'm going to speak on behalf of Ralston House. I brought souvenirs that I'm going to put outside on the table. These are blue pinwheels. They represent a safe and happy childhood. You'll see us planting blue pinwheels throughout the month of April at churches, businesses, and we're going to plant one here at the City of Arvada. So we just want to thank you all for the support. Ralston House will interview over 1,000 children this year who have been victims of crime, and we appreciate the support from the community.
Thank you. Thank you for your service to our community.
Oh, this is a little tall. Well, I'm Josie. I'm with CASA of Adams and Broomfield counties. For those of you who aren't familiar, CASA, at our mission is to provide volunteer advocacy and support for at-risk children and youth, empowering families to thrive. Our core program focuses on advocating for children who have experienced abuse and neglect. CASA volunteers are caring, consistent adults who stand by these children, ensuring that their voices are heard in court and their best interest remains a priority. They provide stability, encouragement, and a trusted presence in a child's life during an incredibly uncertain time. We help children here in Arvada as well as Jeffco and Gilpin counties, CASA as well. And I just wanted to say thank you and also just give a plug that if you are thinking about like volunteering, I know Jeffco, CASA, and Adams of Broomfield CASA would be happy to give you more information about what that looks like in the city and county closest to you.
Great. Thank you.
And I'll be very brief. I just wanted to also say that CASA of Jeffco and Gilpin County also has a really unique relationship with the City of Arvada in that we have AVI, which is youth that are moving out of foster care. It's a housing development, so we're really excited that we have that partnership with you and wanted to thank you. And yes, if you want to give us your time or your money, we won't say no. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our proclamations this evening, and we have no presentations tonight, so we will move on to public comment. Public comment is for items not scheduled on the agenda for a public hearing. We limit public comment to 3 minutes per person, and it's your opportunity to address your city council. We always listen carefully to what you have to say, but we do not respond to comments during the meeting. We will refer any issues raised during public comment to our city team for further research and resolution if that is appropriate. I have one person signed up for general public comment, and that will be Ed Tomlinson, so please come forward.
Good evening. My name, as noted, is Ed Tomlinson. I've lived and worked in Arvada for many, many, many decades. I still work full-time in real estate here in the community. Over the past couple of months, these don't work well. Although over the past couple of months, on my own time, I have been comparing 3 years of city budgets against actual budgets, actual spending. using the documents provided through the city records process. First, I want to say that city staff have been helpful and professional in providing these documents, and I appreciate that. The reason I have been studying the numbers is amazingly simple. When you compare the budgeted amounts to what is actually spent, there appears to be areas that are consistently funded higher than what is used. Some of that is normal, but in certain areas are consistently overfunded year after year after year. It raises an interesting question. Is it possible that there are some differences that could eventually eliminate city property taxes? 9 million is what you collect and change without reducing services. Tonight, I'm asking City Council not to make any decisions. I'm simply asking if the council would be open to allowing staff to review my findings with me and to see whether the patterns I see are accurate or simply the result of normal accounting timing. If the numbers do not support the idea, that's fine. But if they do, it could start a constructive conversation about reducing city property taxes. I appreciate the opportunity to share this, and I appreciate the work the council and staff and the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mark Jelinski. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread. My apologies. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak during general public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, I will close our general public comment. And when we move on to the consent agenda, and so the following items are on the consent agenda for approval. I have R26-002, a resolution authorizing a second amendment to a progressive design-build agreement between the City of Arvada and Concrete Express, Inc. for improvements to the Colorado Front Range Trail, Blund Pioneer Segment Phase 1 services in an amount not to exceed $317,628.30, awarding Phase 2 services, thereby increasing the total contract amount to an amount not to exceed $3,087,216.80. And R26-023, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada and Adams County, Colorado, for graffiti services in an amount not to exceed $10,000 in each year. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda? Councilmember Lovison.
I move that consent items R26-022 and R26-023 be approved. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Council, you may begin to vote. All right, all votes are cast. And that passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson excused. Next on our agenda are resolutions. First, we will consider R26-024, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental grant agreement with the State of Colorado Department of Natural Resources, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Division to develop Gold Strike Park. I believe our presenter is Darren DeLay with Parks and Urban Design Manager.
See if this works. It does. Great. Good evening, members of council. Thank you. Darren DeLay, Parks and Urban Design Manager within the VCN work system. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Parks and Urban Design team and share our financial background regarding the federal grant for this project, some of the supplemental grants that we've received for this project, some general project updates, and answers to some questions that were provided in advance of tonight's meeting by Councilmember Lovison. Did I say your last name correctly? Thank you. Stress about that. I do want to also take a moment to acknowledge that this grant was no small feat, and not in attendance tonight is Maki Boyle, one of our senior project managers. A monumental effort in working with our grants administration team in getting this large grant. The City of Arvada was awarded the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Grant I will call it ORLAP. That's a mouthful, but that's what that stands for. That facilitates the improvements of Gold Strike Park in the amount of $7,328,827.44. Those park improvements include a nature playground, spaces for historical and ecological explorations, flood mitigation, backwater storage for large rain events, safeguarding downstream residential homes and adjacent industrial infrastructure. The City of Arvada, identified as the grantee, must provide a local match amount identified in the grant award letter for that $7.3 million. I'm going to break down some of the financial breakdown of that just to make sense of this for everyone. So the ORLAP grant is a reimbursable grant at a 1-to-1 match. There are other grants that we have received that count towards those matching funds, and those include GOCO, Great Outdoors Colorado, for $750,000. That's also a reimbursable match, and that counts towards our $6.25 million total, or the $7.3 million total, sorry. And then the HUD, the CDBG grants for a two-year reimbursable of $234,868. That funding in particular would only go towards the purchase of the play equipment features. No labor is associated with that because of Davis-Bacon requirements. The question was asked, do we anticipate that we're going to need to fund a gap? We do. It's important to know we don't know what that gap is yet because we haven't received the construction bids. We'll be soliciting for bid construction here probably May-ish, June, depending how procurement releases that CSB, competitive sealed bid. We'll know what that gap is. The plan that I'm presenting to you on the funding is to, what is the city's plan, what is the Parks and Urban Design team's match to that $7.3 million? We initially matched an amount of $6.25 million to set up the project back in 2024. Those funds were from park development fees, fees in lieu, park water tap fees, some of our CIP parks holding accounts. Of that initial $6.25 million, $966,000 was spent towards Wink Associates as the design consultant for the construction document set. That funding is not eligible for ORLAP pay against because of how we solicited that, and that was solicited for design prior to us being awarded and even applying for the federal grant. There are pre-award design fees, however, that are available to the ORLAP match in a rough amount of $72,600. Some of those fees were for the CDOT permitting of a small parcel of the land that is owned by CDOT on the Gold Strike Park. Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessment, Class 3 cultural survey, Cheyenne and Arapaho tribal design consultation fees, and the Alta survey. So those fees are eligible for that 1-to-1 match. So what's that mean in terms of the gap right now of current funding that we have allotted in the project budget to match that $7.3 million minus the fees that we've already spent in design? It leaves about an $815,000 gap right now. I'm not asking you for money today. I have aligned funds for those from our CIP holding accounts that would come from park development fees, water tap fees, conservation trust fund dollars. We have those CIP holding accounts. We will schedule that transfer when we know what the bid is. I think it's premature to sort of transfer money and then pull it back out. So in summary, what this means is the project is funded. We have those funds aligned. We have those funds available should we need them. I don't know what the cost of the project is yet in terms of construction. The estimates for construction, $12.5–13 million is what construction is what we're looking at. This is all prior to what's happened overseas and with oil prices. Those kinds of impacts will impact fuel costs and the impacts of the park construction. So if the project comes in at $12 million, and I'm using just rough round numbers for my head to do the math with you, then we'll have $6 million of that ORLAP grant available to match any amount of $6 million we come up with, right? So, and those other two previous grants that I talked about, GOCO and HUD, count towards our match. If it comes in over, then we can value engineer the design, we can phase the design, or we can use those supplemental funds that I identified earlier that are in excess of the $815K. I wanted to address some of the other questions that Councilmember Levison presented, that are we looking at ways to provide university accessibility rather than general accessibility? High-level statement is yes. We always are. That's generally our practice of our studio upstairs on the 3rd floor. We do have a separate, you referenced the Willow Bend Park at Loveland as an example in a case study, good case study. I don't know a lot about that project other than what I've seen on the website, so I don't want to speak to how they programmed or scoped that project. But what I will say is that we use that lens and those filters through our design and modeling of parks, that not all parks are created the same, and what features do we like, and does it match the scope of how we're scoping a project. That said, we do have a separate project that we can bring to attention, or I can provide more information on in Robbie Ferrafino in the All Abilities Playground and redevelopment of that project we're working on. That is very similar to that project from at the surface level that I can tell. Gold Strike Park has met the ADA standards for accessible design and is in design compliance with those guidelines. We've made strong efforts to expand where applicable in the design and are currently approved through for construction through the city's development application and review process. Another question was asked about the community space for historical and ecological exploration. This was in reference to a previous, in this resolution intro, as well as a previous article that was published on the city's website via Parks Updates in September 30th of 2024. The full context of that statement was the city has been working for over 45 years to turn this 7.6-acre site into a community space for historical and ecological exploration. And that's really, the city park is that public space and amenity for the community as a whole. And a lot of our design features and elements and discussions are about the context of ecological healing and historical relevance of this site, beyond what we know of it today from the white person's perspective. The park user, the amenities in this park are for the Arvada community as a whole, and exploring the park as a user through the discovery, educating oneself of its multiple historical contexts, and the relevance of the urban ecologies that are present here. I can go into greater detail, if you would like, about the interest in our history around water and more difficult parts of the history that we have a responsibility to acknowledge and learn from. Presented on this very thing in New Orleans with Chief Gordon Yellowman from the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribe, and Jennifer Mahan, one of our design consultants from WINC. And we'll be presenting on this again at the International Association of Landscape Ecologies in Georgia, and more about the plant material and what we're doing for the healing of the land of this particular site. But really this is about speaking to the parts of acknowledging the difficult parts of our history. I'll try to summarize this, and I think it's worth hearing, and it's just good. It's a good filter for us to continue to remember as designers as we talk about the park. And what's written on our whiteboard upstairs in our studio is, the story we tell with this park should increase the curiosity towards all other stories. So it's been sort of our mantra for this park, and the way we ask ourselves questions and ask questions of our designers, and how we'll approach it through construction. But the partnership with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes is one of inclusivity, respectfulness, and it's historically grounded in public projects that with an opportunity to honor Indigenous people before us. This particular park and design heightens a user's curiosity, deepens the experience, and is necessary to facilitate and incorporate the tribal input at the beginning of the design process through the lens of storytelling and story making of the site. The importance of including that Indigenous narrative in the park experience was identified early in the schematic design phase of the project, where we identified the roles of the design team and the collaborators, and the Cheyenne and the Arapaho tribe staff as design consultants. We were able to compensate them through an agreement, as a design agreement, as subject matter experts. And so they've been with us every step of the way, which has been important, incredibly eye-opening, humbling, and it's good to know that when it's okay to ask and be wrong, and they expect that. It's not us asking the tribes how to do this, it's about educating ourselves first, And if we misstep, then there's a point and a place for correction. So that's been really helpful through the design process. Moving beyond this one-sided historical narrative without erasing it that has been the existence of Gold Strike Park to date, it's told through a lens of gold and the previous status quo. We prioritize the ecological and cultural health of the site to educate ourselves as designers, empower our own curiosities, and began to find the opportunities that thoughtful design and placemaking processes reveal. Releasing our expectations to be taught without trying to educate ourselves first has been kind of a priority in how we approach the project. And so that gives us our understanding and the significance of the currency of trust with the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes to approach this project. This acknowledges the past atrocities between the tribes and white people, revealed our roles and the reparative work that we could grow with this project. It's a lot. Question 4, how are we approaching this in a way that respects the reality of the unhoused individuals in our community while also ensuring the park remains safe, activated, and accessible for all residents? There's a lot to unpack in that I can try to address in the brief statement that I have here, but it's also in partnership with, I think, some of our other departments and primarily the police department and supporting them, homelessness, unhoused population, what we need there. So there isn't a large amount of hostile architecture or exclusionary design elements in the redevelopment of this site, but we have taken into consideration that the city has an unhoused population, much like many of the surrounding cities. And there's a larger conversation to be had about how we include all people in public space, make all people feel and remain safe and welcome in those public spaces. And then the last question I believe I had here was, what were, maybe not specific to Gold Strike Park, but what were some of the big takeaways from the youth that attended a few weeks ago here at the city with regards to the comprehensive plan and what community engagement looked like with that? I'll only speak to what my table hosted at the Parks and Urban Design, where we had taken the site analysis and opportunity constraints and showed how a project, Gold Strike Park as an example, moves through community input, ideas, the ideation phase, how you can pull that into the opportunities and constraints, start to create concepts, start to create your programmatic elements and statements of the design, and then generate that into a concept plan that then goes through a little over 1,100 pages in a construction document set for Gold Strike Park. So it was a lot to give to each group in about 10 minutes, which ultimately realized in about 5 minutes per group once we told them what we do as a department. But I think some of the key takeaways for that are what we might want to see in parks and how those align with budgets aren't always accessible, and so it's prioritizing a skate park over different features in the element and what's appropriate for that site, looking at the surrounding context of the neighborhood and the communities. Site analysis is important for those opportunities and constraints. Not everyone wants to be a landscape architect in that group, and that there's a give and take approach to programmatic elements of your wants versus your needs when you approach design to create beautiful public placemaking in public spaces. That's what I have. What questions might you have?
Thank you very much for that presentation and thorough responses to those questions. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you for this. It's been a long time, and just seeing the renderings for this park, it's amazing, and all the work that went into it. I just remember it as being a blank slate, just a big parking lot with a Santa-led in it, and great space for a runner at a turnaround point, though. But I really do appreciate the thought and care that's been put into this project. It truly honors the space respectfully, and the information through interpretive renderings and just going out into the public and talking about the park, bringing in the indigenous tribes is amazing. This is really activating this site in such a meaningful way. It truly shows that the city is committed to being honoring not just the land, but the region itself. So thank you to everyone who was involved.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was also a comment about if council members would like to tour the site, happy to do that. The recommendation is not to reach out directly to me, but maybe through the city manager's office, and then we can coordinate that collectively. I'd be happy to do that and speak to some of the other pieces of the park in more detail as well.
I think we would like to do that. I see a lot of
Great.
nodding of heads, so yes, please.
Sounds great. It's a date.
Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I simply wanted to say thank you to you and your team for the passion that you poured into this project and the interest in sharing the story at some of the events that you were talking about. I think that those conferences, I've been to ASLA conferences and whatnot, where we hear these really cool stories about how people are working with the land and working with ecology and telling stories. I'm really excited that Arvada is participating in that too, so thank you.
Great. Yeah, I'm excited to bring Chief Gordon Yellowman back here with you and let him speak in his native tongue. It's beautiful. He did that, and he held a room of 300 people really, really well. And I think many of us were in tears on stage before we could gather ourselves and speak again. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to say thank you so much for managing this project and all the work to make it come real. I think District 2 it's really important to us on the eastern, southeastern side, like the most corner of that, right? That we are really investing in this historical site with updating it and getting more people in touch with it and doing it so thoughtfully. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, I will just echo that. I really appreciate all the work that you put into this. And to be so respectful of the history and the culture that come with this particular area of our city is just so important. So thank you for that. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
One other thing I would add is
yes.
that the city's website does have a good update for the project itself. And additionally, I can share with Wink Associates, the design consultant, I saw this morning, there's really beautiful illustratives on there that kind of show what the space can look like. So if you can't read in plans well and it's hard to get your head wrapped around it, there's some really beautiful drawings there as well, and happy to show those with a link. So
Thank you. Yep. I've got a couple more. Councilmember Pfeiffer first.
And I appreciate this. I do challenge the city to protect our parks. We need to bring back up the park rangers program. Investment of $12 million is a lot of money for it to just go into disrepair, not just from maintenance from the parks team. That's not my concern. It's more of abuse or some other issues within the parks. The city of Arvada, obviously, for decades, if not forever, we've always said we want a park within 10-minute walk of every person's home, right? And so one of the biggest things that make Arvada special are these parks. So I'm looking to the city manager to regenerate that conversation around the park ranger program and see how we can protect these valuable assets. Because we can't rely on the police to just be everywhere all the time. They have their own things they need to work on than sometimes these assets. And other communities are doing it. There's no reason why we shouldn't, since that's probably, other than our streets, that's probably one of the largest assets we own, is our parks and trails program. So great job on this. I've done the public art out at this park. I did the ribbon cutting there a decade ago. So it's good to see things changing and actually adding a very beautiful jewel to our collection. And definitely for the community. This is something needed in that area, and look forward to other redesigns or new designs of parks in the future.
Yes,
good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Levison.
Thank you so much for helping to make this big opportunity happen. And more than anything, I think that intentional storytelling that provides the opportunity to talk about those difficult parts of history. So I really appreciate the meaningfulness around all of that. And also with the accessibility, whether it's the opportunity for more sensory areas, but including a broader range when it comes to accessibility, not just ADA. So I appreciate you looking into that and looking into ways to do that as well. And I echo what you say as well. We've got to invest our people and time as well to keep this beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion? Councilmember Davis.
I move that R 26-024 resolution authorizing an intergovernmental grant agreement with the State of Colorado Department of Natural Resources, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Division to develop Gold Strike Park be approved.
Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson excused. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Next, we will consider R 26-025, a resolution declaring drought and authorizing the city manager to promulgate such administrative rules as may be necessary for water conservation. And Infrastructure Director Jacqueline Rhodes will be presenting this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I'm joined here with our Water Resources Administrator, Amy Wilhite, and we're going to try and lay the landscape a little bit, talk about our snowpack and what this means for storage and Arvada's water supply, and talk a little bit about the preparations and our ask of Council tonight.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and hello, Council. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you tonight, but not such a pleasure talking about drought, unfortunately. As you probably have noticed, there's a lot of media action right now talking about drought. We're a record-breaking year here for drought. It is the warmest snow season in 131 years, and our snowpack is in pretty poor condition. If anyone's been up skiing, you're going to notice that. It's the worst we've seen in 4 decades of record at this point. So if you look to the bottom right of your screen there, you'll see that March 11th, 2025 looks a lot different than this year, right, for the drought monitor. About a third of our state is in severe or worse drought. The Colorado headwaters areas where that bullseye sits, that is in extreme exceptional drought. So we are really concerned. We've been watching this for months, just kind of preparing just in case, hoping for a March miracle, which never did happen for us, unfortunately. Next slide, please. So in this context, I just want to bring up our Denver water contract because that is really important to consider. We've got a contract with Denver Water to supply us 75% of our raw water supply. And their snowpack and their system's looking very poor. Their reservoir storage is fairly healthy at this point. It's fairly average, but we're just kind of looking at the forecasts. 3 months out is not looking good. Hot and dry, more of that again for us. I will say the limitations on their, so they set limitations. Our contractual obligation is to follow Denver Water's or do something more stringent internally here at the city. Next slide, please. So I don't know if you've all seen these. These are snowpack graphs, and these are showing snow water equivalent, which is the amount of water that is produced from the snowpack. Just to orient you a little bit, there's the blue line is the max that we've seen. This is about 30 years of records, which is relevant. That's the modern era, right? And then we've got a green line, which is average, and then the red bottom line was around 2002. That's where I started in water, so I really am familiar with that year. That was a landmark year for drought. Here, I just wanted to show you 2 locations out of very many in Denver Water System. Williams Fork is the first one. That's Denver Water Moffett System. It's part of it. There's a number of different snowpack sites that they look at. But that is looking a lot worse. This was from last week. It's looking worse, obviously. After this last weekend, they've got some melt off. So it's below the record. And that's the Moffett system does serve Arvada, so we use their Northwestern system for our water supply. And then I just wanted to point out the Upper South Platte is also, that's hurting quite a bit too. That supplies a lot of their other customers. So these are very concerning. I will also state that here in the Front Range, about 80% of our water comes from snowpack. So we are really closely looking at this. Next slide. And I also want to talk about Arvada, our water supply as well. We have 25% of the water supply is our own water rights. Our reservoir is looking fairly good, but we are all looking at Clear Creek. And again, that number, that that graphic has actually come down a bit after last weekend. So these 90-degree days are not helpful to us. It's starting to melt off the snowpack early. So we're thinking about this, we're preparing, we're modeling, and then we've got on the right the reservoir end of February storage. And water planners, we look out, multiple years. We're looking at next year and the following year. We'll definitely make it fine through this year. But we do need to think about water conservation and start to impose some restrictions here coming up. I just want to say we have a very robust water supply, so we're going to be fine. We've modeled this. I've had some modeling done of 2002, 3 years in a row, and we made it through. We just need to conserve, right? And that's the biggest thing we can do. That's our hugest tool that we have within the city is to conserve, have water conservation measures in place. And on a more positive note, 50 plus years of record do show there are turnarounds, right? So this is still a little bit early, but we could see things kind of change. It's a little tough right now. We have a lot of ground to make up, but I'm hopeful. So I'll just turn it back to Jacqueline now. Thanks.
Next slide. So as you heard, the situation is very dynamic. And our ask of council tonight is really meant to help us be prepared, and we are prepared. The last time the city has taken an action like this was in 2013 in terms of declaring a drought and beginning stage 1 watering restrictions, again, consistent with our Denver Water contract. And as Amy mentioned, in 2002-2003 timeframe, we had an even more extreme case to sort through. So our teams have been watching, our teams have been monitoring, and continuously having conversations in coordination with Denver Water so that we're prepared and aligned with the actions that we anticipate they're going to take. And that also has included early coordination with our own teams. So we've been talking across departments, we've been working with our external partners, and even starting some early messaging to our business community about what this could look like. We've stood up an internal Arvada task force. We're meeting weekly to talk about the latest updates and what we need to do. And again, my message is just that we're prepared and we're trying to be agile so that we can respond to the conditions as they develop. What we're, again, requesting tonight is just for council to take this action to help us continue to be agile in doing that. Next slide, please. Just want to give a little bit of background. These are the different shortage stages that Denver Water uses in their defined drought plan. And we know that Denver Water Board is taking action tomorrow on their staff's recommendation to implement the stage 1, shown in bold here on the slide. And so some examples of what that could look like, and again, our team will be following what final decisions are made tomorrow and then incorporating that into our plan, are 2-day per week watering on a schedule. So that will look like, depending on your address, your assigned days to water. Of course, there's already a practice at Denver Water of no watering between 10 and 6, and that's within our guidance as well. So we'll be carrying forward examples there. And recommendations around vehicle washing, power washing, guidance for restaurants to only serve water upon request, things like that, that will go into our rules as well. I want to also highlight that I mentioned the team has already been coordinating. Our team has a drought plan already in place, and Director Stevenson can answer any detailed questions you have about our irrigation practices and how we already incorporate some best practices and how we're prepared and already starting to implement our drought plan for our parks, athletic fields, golf courses, et cetera. And similarly on our city operations side. So our fleet team is ready to implement best practices for vehicle washing. Our water operations team is ready to respond. That's what we've been working on over the past weeks. Next slide, please. So what you can expect next if you approve tonight's action is that we will be taking the Denver Water Board decision tomorrow and incorporating that into the rules that are specific for the city. And again, this action would allow our city manager to promulgate those rules, and we'll develop those and begin to notify our community and publish those rules and make them effective. We're in the process of operationalizing this plan. We don't have all the answers working out today, but again, we're working hard to make sure we're sorting out the details, the staffing requirements, and what operational adjustments we need to make. So we're going to continue to be sharing a lot of information over the coming weeks as we roll this out. I already mentioned the drought task force, but I also want to be very complimentary of our communications team. Our infrastructure communications manager, Katie Patterson, has put together a pretty extensive outreach plan that we're going to be rolling out, and we're directing everybody to arvadaco.gov/drought. Watering restrictions is, something that you can see show up right on our website, and we're going to be posting all of the current information there as we draft and advertise these rules. So customer support is essential. I want to acknowledge we're in this together. You're going to see this impact across our city teams, our city facilities, our operations, but we do need customer support. As Amy mentioned, conservation is our best tool in times like this, and we already have a lot of tools in place. So something we can ask our customers to do is wait to turn your irrigation systems on. Wait till May 1st or later. We have tools through Resource Central. We can do flow evaluations. We have best practices for how you set up your irrigation. We can talk about finding indoor leaks and leak detection. Also, our team has been steadily working to roll out advanced metering infrastructure so that customers have access through Ion Water to an app to help them understand their water use, detect leaks, catch things early. And we'll be pushing out more resources for the customers that have those new meters installed, how they can sign up, how they can have access to that information. So a lot of tools in play. Know that our team is very active and ready to respond, and grateful for your support. So in conclusion, we are asking for City Council to approve R26-025 tonight. And happy to answer any questions that you might have for us.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Okay, questions from council. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the presentation. I think we all kind of saw this coming, and obviously we have to follow what Denver Water is doing. Attached to the stage one, are there any enforcement actions that will be taken?
Thank you for highlighting that. I meant to speak to that as part of my presentation. The city already has in our code a waste of water. And what that looks like is really a multi-step approach to how we can actually enforce these rules. It starts with a warning, then a $100 charge, then a $250 charge, and then a $500 charge, where ultimately we can restrict water or shut off service to ensure responsiveness. So again, we'll be making sure all this is clearly communicated so that both our city team can respond to reports of waste of water, and we're monitoring and being able to proactively respond to what reports we receive. But we would be exercising our waste of water portions of our code to help enforce on these rules.
Other questions? Councilmember Levison.
Thank you so much. As we're passing this along to residents, I'm hearing, tell them the Mother's Day rule. Don't turn them on until after Mother's Day, making them aware of the metering system. Are there other things you'd like us to kind of help communicate, or other things our residents can do to conserve water?
Absolutely. Some of those are the tools that I mentioned. Through our website, you can access Resource Central. Again, some great tools there for how to set up your irrigation system, slow the flow. I already mentioned our smart meters to really help you take control of your own water use, aside from waiting for that bi-monthly bill to come in to really see and understand where your consumption patterns are at. So those are some simple things that we can direct the community to do now, and continue to check back. Because again, as we learn more, we'll be pushing out a lot of communications about what resources are available.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I see no other lights. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Davis.
I move that R26-025, a resolution declaring drought and authorizing the city manager to promulgate such administrative rules as may be necessary for water conservation, be approved.
Thank you. Do we have discussion, Councilmember Ambrose? Nope. Okay. Then we will proceed to vote. You may start now. All votes are cast. And that passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson being excused. Thank you. We are now ready to move on to first readings, and before we start, we do, for our first item, CB 26-008, we have a need for recusal, so I will call on Councilmember Davis.
Yes, I would like to be recused from CB 26-008.
Do I have a motion? Councilmember Ambrose?
Yes, I would like to move for Councilmember Sharon Davis to be recused from the first reading of CB 26-008.
All right, please proceed to vote. All votes are cast. Okay, I'm getting a warning sign up here. I need to lock Councilmember Davis, is what it's saying, and I don't know how to do that on my screen. Do you know how to do that? Ah, thank you, sir. That was easy. All right, now we'll try it. That passes 5-0 with Councilmember Mayor Simpson excused, and we have recused Councilmember Davis. All right, we will now clear votes, and now we will move on with the first reading of CB 26-008, and I call on Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that CB 26-008, an ordinance approving a conditional use permit to allow 384 multifamily and 51 townhome units on site in the MX-S mixed-use suburban zoning district for Avalon, Arvada, a 20.1 acre parcel of land approximately located at 17201 West 64th Avenue, be approved on first reading, ordered, published in full, and a public hearing be set for April 21st, 2026 at 6:15 p.m.
All right, you may start voting.
Your Honor, I just wanted to add
Yes,
one
please.
comment.
Please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
very much, Your Honor. I just wanted to clarify for anybody watching at home, this is just to allow the meeting to be scheduled. This is purely that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, all votes are cast. That passes 5-0 with Mayor Simpson being excused and the recusal of Councilmember Davis. We may now bring Councilmember Davis back to the dais. And now I know how to unlock her. Thank you. That was really easy. And I will call on Councilmember Ambrose to proceed with the remainder of first readings.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that CB 26-009, an ordinance annexing certain land into the City of Arvada, Martinez Annexation No. 1, a 0.06 acre parcel of land approximately located at 5044 Carr Street in the City of Arvada, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, and also CB 26-010, an ordinance annexing certain land into the City of Arvada, Martinez Annexation No. 2, a 01.11 acre parcel of land approximately located at 5044 Carr Street in the City of Arvada, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado. Also CB 26-011, an ordinance zoning Martinez Annexation No. 1 and No. 2 from Jefferson County, R2 to the City of Arvada, R6, Residential 6, a 1.17 acre parcel of land approximately located at 5044 Carr Street, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, all be approved on first reading, ordered, published in full, and a public hearing set for April 21st, 2026 at 6:15 p.m.
Please proceed to vote. Okay, all votes are cast, and that passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson excused. And that concludes first reading, and now we'll move.
I have a little
you have
more.
more.
I have a
Okay,
little more,
my
sorry.
apologies.
It's a different hearing.
Yes,
public
please,
hearing
please
date.
proceed.
I move that CB 26-012, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1-2 from the City of Arvada PUD Planned Unit Development to the City of Arvada R-24 Residential 24 and Arvada CG Commercial General, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, as well as CB 26-013, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1-5 from the City of Arvada PUD Planned Unit Development to the City of Arvada R-13 Residential 13, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 26.68 acre parcel of land located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 93, and CB 26-014, an ordinance rezoning certain land within the City of Arvada, Candelas Parcel 1-6 from the City of Arvada PUD Planned Unit Development to the City of Arvada R-6 Residential 6, and amending the official zoning maps of the City of Arvada, Colorado, a 35.33 acre parcel of land located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 93, all be approved on first reading, ordered, published in full, and a public hearing date set for May 19th, 2026 at 6:15 p.m.
Now you may proceed to vote. All votes are cast. That also passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson excused. Thank you all. Now we'll move on to our public hearing. I will now open the public hearing for the following item. CB 26-005, an ordinance repealing and reenacting Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Regulations of the Arvada City Code through the adoption of general and administrative provisions and the adoption by reference of the 2024 International Building Code, the 2024 International Residential Code, the Colorado Low Energy and Carbon Code based on the 2024 International Energy Conservation Code, the 2024 International Existing Building Code, the 2024 International Fuel Gas Code, the 2024 International Mechanical Code, the 2024 International Plumbing Code, the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code, the 2024 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, a very important one, the most current National Electrical Code from the National Fire Protection Association, and the adoption of penalties for violations thereof, ordinance number 4921. And I believe Kylie Flynn, Chief Building Official, will be the presenter on this item. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a mouthful. All right. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon and members of council. I am excited once again to be here to talk to you about our upcoming, well, hopefully tonight, 2024 Building Fire and Wildfire Code adoption. We do have some experts here tonight with us, not just myself, with representatives from Noresco and Shums Coda, who are experts in our industry, as well as experts from staff. Just wanted to give a heads up there. And I forgot to introduce myself, but I think you know me. I'm Kylie Flynn, and I'm the Chief Building Official. Before I get going here, I did want to point out, we did notice an issue, a mistake in Chapter 18, Section 1871. A2. There's a word there that's not meant to be there. The word is occupant. We have alerted our city attorney, and we are adjusting that. But it does change the meaning of that section, so I wanted to make sure that that was pointed out. That was not the intention. Perfect. We are hoping tonight just to go through a quick recap of our workshop from January 27th and some important topics just to, again, go through some of this. I will start by setting the foundation, and I couldn't resist a building code joke there. Okay, there we go. And I want to, again, set that foundation a little bit. Why are we here talking about adopting building codes? Why are we adopting new building codes in the first place? This is a normal process that takes place every 3 to 6 years across the nation. Other communities do the same thing. This is how we've also handled it here in Arvada since our first code in 1955. Building codes protect life safety. They align with the city's climate and sustainability goals. They align with new construction practices. They remove outdated code provisions. They provide greater resiliency for Arvada, and they help us align with Colorado state law. There we go. Just some quick highlights from the workshop that we presented on January 27th. We went over how building codes are developed, why these codes are important for our community, the proposed changes, and the fact that they are a result of significant staff planning and dedication. And we've also spent a lot of time with outreach to stakeholders as part of this process. We also went through some of the Colorado mandates that are affecting our code adoption, and then our top 3 significant changes that we really wanted to present to you that we felt were the most important to get ahead of you. Quickly, so again, here's those top 3 significant changes. This is the same slide from our workshop. The top 3 that we're considering are the most important to discuss. The first one being energy code updates, the second one being residential sprinkler system requirements, and the third one being the new Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code. We're going to call it AWRC, just for short. I am going to present to you quickly, and again, we're trying to move fast. We know you've already heard us talk about all this for quite a long time at our workshop. I will speak to the first significant change, which is our energy code updates, and then I will hand it over to Stephen Parker, and then we'll do a quick conclusion and close this up. So again, that first significant change was energy code updates. Again, setting that foundation, why are we even adopting a new energy code? And House Bill 22-1362 does require that cities and counties adopt specific energy codes because new energy codes help achieve statewide energy and climate goals. The new energy codes also align with the CASUP and community goals, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. Specifically for the CASUP, the Climate and Sustainability Action Plan, a goal there is to reduce GHG emissions by 40% by 2030 and 75% by 2050. And then a point of clarity, 60% of total emissions are building emissions. So this is a big deal. And the last point I have on here as to why we're adopting these codes is the fact that we need new energy codes. They provide flexible alternatives and compliance pathways. They improve health for occupants, and they provide the needed provisions for Arvada to handle the future of construction. At our last council workshop, I did tell you that the state had come out with their new full code combined. I did bring it just to show you again. This is the first Colorado Model Low Energy Code. We talked briefly about if we were to go with different options, there might be kind of a combined different code sections to go to, and this is the full book, so I just wanted to show you that so you can get eyes on that a little bit. I'm going to just go through a few more slides, some key changes to remember and significant changes on energy codes. In the LECC, the Low Energy Carbon Code, there is a new point system for compliance. It provides added flexibility and options. It is new for Arvada, jumping from the 2018 codes to the 2024 Energy Conservation Code and the Low Energy Carbon provisions. It is a change for Arvada, so that's why that's highlighted here. Some other significant changes include that this LECC supports high-efficiency system design while allowing both electric and fossil fuel options. At the workshop, I believe I used the word penalty, and I'd like a moment to reframe that. I think a better term would be energy debiasing, and essentially what that means is, in practice, more people might choose energy-efficient appliances because it's a little easier to get through the code and more cost-effective. I hope that helps a little bit. There are new requirements for EV-ready, solar-ready, and electric-ready provisions. The goal here is to make future installations cheaper. The LECC also promotes stronger building envelope performance, which equals improved comfort. There's new demand response controls for improved efficiency. And then a big one that we didn't really get to talk about at our workshop, there is there's a removal of the mandatory on-site renewables in the 2024 Energy Conservation Code, in the Low Energy Conservation, Low Energy and Carbon Code, based on the 2024 International Energy Conservation Code. So that has been removed. This is significant because mandatory on-site renewables are solar panels. So the provision for mandatory solar panels out of the 2024 Energy Conservation Code has been removed out of the Low Energy Carbon Code, which provides a significant cost decrease. If we do have time, I do have a case study showing a grocery store with significant cost savings, somewhere around $420,000 by using the Low Energy Carbon Code versus the 2024, there's too many terms here, IECC, I'm just going to say that. And then leaving you with some last thoughts about the Low Energy Carbon Code. For most projects, the Low Energy Carbon Code has the potential to provide a more cost-effective path to compliance than the 2024 IECC alone. The LECC simplifies the process while giving projects flexibility in how they achieve compliance. And then energy code updates mean better air quality and health for occupants. There's also long-term energy cost savings on energy bills. And we are required by law to adopt new energy codes. Whether we decide to adopt the Low Energy Carbon Code tonight or to go with a different provision, a different option, we will have to adopt this Low Energy Carbon Code in the future. And then the last thing I want to highlight is that Arvada has achieved the Building Policy Collaborative, the BPC grant, which has afforded us $900,000 to assist us with our energy code adoption. We think this will be a really big help for the community, help us provide things like plan review assistance, training for the public, training for staff, as well as updating websites and providing guides and that sort of thing to assist us. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Stephen to finish out our last two significant changes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Stephen Parker. I'm the Fire Marshal with Arvada Fire, and like Kylie said, we went over a lot at the study session, so I'm going to try and take a slightly different approach here to provide some additional information. So I did a deep dive into our fire statistics, and from January 1st, 2017 through the end of last year, 71% of all of our fires are in single-family residential. So that was 241 out of 339 fires during that period. 92% of our fire fatalities are in 1 and 2 family dwellings. And if you look at percentage-based population versus our fatalities, Arvada is roughly 2% the overall population of the state of Colorado, and we have accounted for 4% of the fatalities. This number will become important a little bit later, but $83,000 is roughly our approximate fire loss per home. Here's some residential sprinkler facts. You've got it in the council packet that you've read numerous times, but I do want to harp on it. They're very reliable systems. I have sprinklers here. If anybody wants to take a look at them, you can touch them, you can feel them, you can see how durable they are. A lot of times people talk about, well, aren't smoke alarms enough? The answer to that is no. They're supposed to complement each other. Smoke alarms notify the people to get out. Sprinkler systems afford people the additional time to get out of the house. Sprinkler systems do reduce fire fatalities by more than 80%. So that's all fine and dandy when we look at national statistics, and a lot of people say that the fire problem isn't what it used to be. So NFPA puts out a lot of statistics, and if we look at 1980 versus 2024, the last time NFPA produced their document, there was just over 6,500 fire deaths in the nation, and that's civilian fire deaths. That doesn't account for firefighter deaths. Versus 2024, 3,920. So quite a bit of a reduction over that roughly 45-year period. But we got to look at it a different way. When we look at the frequency at which people are dying, it has increased. 1980, we were seeing about a 0.71 fire fatality per 100 fires. 2024, that increased to 1.02. If we distill that down to our 237 residential fires that we have seen, we have 4.22. A significant increase from the national standard. What's the reason for that? Many things. Obviously, occupant use is one driving factor. How we design houses now, open floor plans, lightweight construction, the synthetic materials that we put within our homes, very flammable. They burn very fast. And then one of the emerging trends right now we're seeing is lithium-ion batteries. So last time I had this list of who's adopted this, generally speaking around us. And I put this into a map so that it's a little bit more visual to see. So if you look along the front range here, from Erie all the way down to Lakewood, almost every single municipality has adopted residential sprinklers. And that varies from 2011 to as recent as 2023, roughly. But it is important to note here that the vast majority of Arvada is built out. There's not going to be a significant impact on the overall construction seen with residential sprinklers. So as we look at this, with all of the current developments currently in the pipeline, those will not be affected should this thing go through tonight. Everything within the planning process will continue as designed under the current codes. I will like to mention that multiple developments have opted to optionally sprinkler their developments. And a couple that I'd like to point out is range water up in the Candelas area, Howard Ranch, roughly at 64th and Indiana, Canyon Pines, and then we have multiple townhome projects that have optionally decided to do that. This comes up a lot in conversation, not just here in the city, but nationwide. How do residential sprinklers affect the wildland-urban interface and the wildfire threat? Sprinkler systems are not designed to stop a fire, an external fire, from protecting your home. What we're looking at here is a fire within your house from extending to whether it's your neighbor's house or the open space and then turning into an urban conflagration. So if we look at it from multiple lenses, it does provide resiliency on many different fronts. So this is really the main point of what we want to talk about. What is that cost impact? The HBA has provided us, and the Home Builders Association has provided us statistics that say sprinkler systems roughly cost $15,000 to $20,000. When I distill that down to our local costs that we're seeing here within Arvada, we are seeing a significantly less cost per square foot. So I know 63 isn't a huge sample size, but it is significantly larger than what we had even 3 years ago. So right now we're looking at approximately $3.23 per square foot. And I do want to point out that that cost is probably a little bit high because we're dealing with custom homes. They're one-off, so they can't take advantage of scale, where you have master plans and it's just copy and paste throughout the development. Kylie has generously looked through the code to see what kind of trade-offs and code adjustments that can be made. And we have a whole list. It's available in the appendix. I won't go through it because she's the expert in that, but we're estimating, depending on whether it's a single-family home or a townhome, anywhere from $10,000 to a $24,000 savings because of the additional things that you can do within that structure. Now, housing affordability, that is going to be the biggest thing that we're looking at here today. I understand that, I appreciate that, I respect that. And I wanted to take a look at what does that mean for the city of Arvada. I pulled up the Arvada Housing Needs Assessment from 2024. And granted, it's a lot of information. Some of it I don't fully understand, but a couple things that I did pull out for single-family buyers that Arvada residents who have 100% of the AMI, we're looking at about a $285,000 home based on what their income is. And I look at all the new development going on throughout the city, and one of the major projects that kind of jumped out to me that I thought would be affordable is the Ralston Fields cottages, roughly 58th and Miller, 862 square foot home. $475,000 starting price. Sabela's Townhomes, starting price of $439,000. Terrace Townhomes right there on Ward Road, $550,000. So when we look at that income ratio to what people can afford, I don't believe that sprinklers are the contributing factor to pricing people out of homes. It may play into it a little bit, but the significant cost is not coming from residential sprinklers. Optional system installation comes up not only here, but in many other jurisdictions. And really that, to me, creates inequity. All right? Only those that can afford this system can have the luxury of protecting their home and protecting their loved ones. I do have personal experience with this. I built a home out in Candelas in 2019. I asked them if I could put in a sprinkler system, and they said you can do whatever you want when you own the home. Couldn't do it when it was being built. So here's some of the benefits. I did provide you that white paper a while ago that goes into much more detail. But some of the key things here when we're looking at water conservation, as we were talking about earlier today. Sprinkler systems are going to produce 14 to 28 gallons per minute. When we come in and fight a fire, we're looking at 150, 200, 300 gallons per minute. So it is kind of multifaceted, that not only are we going to conserve water with this, should there be a fire in a sprinklered structure, but we are going to contaminate the environment less by not putting that runoff out into the groundwater. Let's see. I will say that fire doubles in size approximately every 30 seconds. Sprinklers activate on heat, not smoke. Once the temperatures get usually between 135 to 155 degrees, that's when they activate. So we're looking at a minute or so. Where us, I think we're a really good department. I may be biased, but it's going to take us, best case scenario, 8 to 10 minutes. By the time we're even called, that sprinkler system has put the fire out. And the last slide I have here on residential sprinklers is there are a lot of claims that because we're building homes to the newest, most modern codes, that they don't burn. Here's a few pictures just from the last couple of years from homes built 2017 to 2023 that have had significant structure fires in them. And what the code doesn't address is how we use our homes, what we do in them. Yes, the electrical system is safer, but how are we using that? One important thing to consider here is every new home was built under the most modern codes when they were built. All new homes become old. So in 30 years, all of these new homes up in Candelas are going to be old. So that logic doesn't necessarily apply because, again, I go back to how the residents use the structure. And now I'll move on to the Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code. And a couple really important things to look at here is there's two classifications. Class 2 is going to be our high and moderate fire intensity. So if you really look at kind of the western side of Arvada, that's where our main focus is going to be. Class 1 is our low fire intensity. And the big difference here on the Class 1 is we want to harden the homes more than anything. We want to make sure that if there's a wildfire on the west side, that homes going towards the east side are protected from that ember cast. So when we get large vegetation or homes burning, it could have embers the size of your fist flying for miles. And what we want to do is protect those homes, even though it doesn't seem logical that someone at 80th and Kipling needs to do something for wildfire, but it is for that ember cast. So probably the most important thing for us to understand here is the difference between what the state map shows as Class 1 and Class 2 areas, which is the top map shown. So the orange and red colors on the top map are going to be in the Class 2, higher classification for wildfire, and then the yellow is going to be our Class 1 or lower classification. But Jefferson County just went through their process of adopting their wildfire resiliency code, and they use that map that you see on the bottom. And you can see it's fairly different, especially when we look at the blue. The blue on that bottom map is going to be our Class 1 or our lower fire intensity areas. And the orange, yellow color on the left-hand side, that's going to be our Class 2. The reason that we want to propose it this way is for consistency. Because we have so many pockets of unincorporated Jefferson County throughout the city of Arvada, we feel that it is necessary to remain consistent so that people in Jefferson County and the city of Arvada are held to the same standard. And applicability, I won't read every single thing here, but I know this has come up in many questions and conversations. It does not apply to everything that you're doing on the home. So one good example that I'll pull here is roof replacements. If you're only replacing 20% of your roof, you do not have to meet this wildfire resiliency code. It's only when you exceed 25%. And you do not have to meet all code provisions of the wildfire resiliency code. It's only going to be those portions of the structure that you're affecting. So if you're re-roofing, you won't have to re-side your house, right? One of the primary differences is we're going to start looking at defensible space. So if somebody replaces their roof, we're going to go and talk to them and tell them what the requirements are for defensible space of their vegetation throughout their property.
Okay, we did want to take a second to go over our implementation plan. We have a phased approach that we're working with. We have not had the opportunity to really discuss this too much, though it was part of the council packet for our workshop. Our plan and intended goal is not to impact anyone negatively. We want to allow time for this to roll out. We want to allow time for education. Essentially, I'll go through very quickly. Our plan is for April 1st formal adoption with a July 1st implementation date and enforcement transition. So essentially what that means is permits submitted on or after July 1st would use the 2024 codes, and permits submitted before July 1st would continue to be able to use these 2018 codes. A significant piece that is different from other code adoptions that we've had is that we are allowing development that is in the stage of the pre-app or the development application stage to continue under the current codes. We're essentially working with them one-on-one to make sure that this code will work with what they're planning. The reason is that we understand some of these changes have a lot of infrastructure impacts, and that a lot of time and development goes into these developments. And so it's important, we feel it's important that we have a transition period and some grace to allow these changes to roll out. And additionally, mastered permits, projects, all of those will be able to continue being used under the code they were approved under to finish out your subdivision. So just trying to create some of that grace. Some of those benefits, it allows further time for implementation, allows further time to prepare helpful resources, tools, website updates, compliance options, gives further time to focus on community education and outreach, as well as time for staff training, assists with development and project planning to ensure projects are not halted. And then I underlined this because we feel, again, it's really important. It helps provide clear expectations to assist all projects in planning for this change. We have already had one-on-ones with various home builders, Taylor Morrison, Remington. We've helped establish what code they're going to fall under, and Trailstone will not be impacted by these new code provisions. Just to straight up say that, because I thought it was helpful. I'm going to go through a summary. So just building fire and wildfire codes exist due to real lessons learned from disasters. Code adoption is a normal process and an important part of what we do to protect the community. The proposed changes are a result of significant planning. The proposed changes will help Arvada meet Colorado's new mandates. Our implementation plan, we hope, will establish a smooth transition. And then I quoted this directly from a video, so it might sound familiar. It is going to take time for us to adjust to these changes, but we will learn together. And as we settle into these new codes, we will be building a more resilient and safe Arvada. This was a direct quote from one of our videos, one of the things we've done for some outreach. And rather than leave it with the boring summary, I wanted to leave this and finish this presentation off with a commitment. Every day we are here and we show up, and our duties are very important and impactful. Our duty is to serve the Arvada community by protecting life safety, supporting responsible development, and working alongside builders, designers, homeowners, and businesses to make sure projects are successful and safe. Our teams will remain fully committed to providing guidance, resources, and support to help the community navigate these changes as we learn. And along the way, we will be critically analyzing any needs for improvements and readjust where we need to best serve the community. That's our promise and commitment to the community. We have a question slide, and then we do have appendix slides if anyone has further questions that we can pull some stuff from.
So I believe we do public comment first, correct? And then we will go to questions, but thank you so much for the presentation. So I will now, as part of our public hearing, open the public comment portion of the hearing. And we have several members who have signed up. I will call in the order they were given to me. First, I have Alex Prey.
Hello, my name is Alex Prey, address 6330 Reed Street. In addition to being a resident of the city of Arvada, I have a professional engineering license in HVAC and refrigeration systems. I'm a certified energy manager and have over a decade of experience working in building energy efficiency. And I'm here to voice my support for the adoption of the Colorado Low Energy and Carbon Code. I want to expand on the points made by city staff regarding the development of this code. It's not something that the city or even the state arbitrarily chose to make building homes more difficult or anything like that. This code was created, reviewed and refined by a 21-member board appointed by the Colorado Energy Office and the Department of Local Affairs. The board and its objectives were dictated by the House bill mentioned earlier. So this code has had over 4 years, or has been in the making for over 4 years since the passage of that bill. That 21-member board includes perspectives from both the building industry and municipal governments. On the government side, there were representatives from Fort Collins, City of Boulder, Boulder County, Breckenridge, Mesa County, Colorado Springs and El Paso County, Delta County, Gunnison County, and the City and County of Broomfield. On the building side, it included affordable housing representatives from Urban Land Conservancy, Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, and Habitat for Humanity, as well as more traditional market rate representation from plumbers, electrical, and HVAC trades, as well as a large developer, Richmond Homes, in the state. The board convened over 30 times to discuss this code with extensive comment opportunities. This code was thoroughly vetted and reviewed by all parts of the local building industry. I think we understand that adoption of this code today would be a proactive move. Arvada would be among the first jurisdictions in the state to be adopting this. So many neighboring jurisdictions will need to be reactive as this code becomes mandatory later this year. As a leader in this space, Arvada and builders serving Arvada will be in a prime position to receive technical assistance and resources from the state, as mentioned by city staff earlier. The adoption of this code will not change the makeup of Arvada's building stock tonight. But it will ensure that moving forward, the buildings that are built in Arvada will operate more efficiently and reduce the impact on the climate. This is a benefit for future Arvadans and something you can affect tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prey. Next, I have Jim Gagliano.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City staff. My name's Jim Gagliano. I'm the Fire Marshal with City of Westminster Fire Department. I'm here to be in favor of the sprinkler ordinance, and I want to bring up some facts from the City of Westminster on it. Westminster Fire adopted residential sprinkler ordinance in January of 2013 for all new 1- and 2-family residents, including townhomes, that are required to have residential sprinkler systems. That's 13 years we've had this ordinance in place. Westminster Fire has not had a civilian or firefighter death in a 1- or 2-family residence, including townhomes, where fire sprinklers are present since the inception of the residential sprinkler ordinance. Westminster Fire did have an external non-sprinklered patio fire where once the windows failed, the residential sprinkler system inside activated, protecting the residents to be rescued from their 3rd story. The residential sprinkler system, in fact, did prevent the fire from entering the residence until suppression efforts extinguished the external fire. The windows failed on the patio. As soon as the heat, as I explained before, they work off of heat. Once the heat reached the sprinkler system, it activated, protected the stairway, and protected the inside living area of that townhome. Westminster Fire, during a recent code update, adopted an external fire sprinkler requirement for all exterior patio and deck areas due to the minimal costs and added protection. Again, this fire that we had previously was an external patio. It wasn't sprinkler protected. Once it reached the inside, the temperature, it set off the sprinklers and protected the occupants. Westminster Fire has had several fire sprinkler activations in several types of buildings just within the past year's time. Most recently in an affordable senior independent living facility. This was a singular sprinkler head activation for an unattended cooking grease fire. This resulted in zero extension into the kitchen area, and the occupant was able to escape safely. Only 2 units were affected. Westminster Fire did have a double fatal fire in a non-sprinklered single-family dwelling this year. We also had a single fatal fire in a non-sprinklered townhome this year. This was a small room and contents fire where a single sprinkler head would have allowed the resident to exit out of the building. Westminster Fire has several new neighborhoods being developed at this time that are all fully protected by the sprinkler ordinance. One of the new neighborhoods that's coming is factory-built homes in Nebraska. They're being factory-built with the sprinkler system. We also recently completed a cost analysis of adding residential sprinklers. It has been found to have a cost of about $250 to $350 per square foot. We found a single-family residence that was built at approximately 2,500 square foot, and it had an actual cost of $6,300. You would exceed this cost in basic upgrades during a new build. Westminster Fire has supported our neighboring agencies in the past for adopting residential sprinkler systems and support Arvada Fire Protection District for moving forward with doing what is best for their citizens they protect and their firefighters that respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mark Jelinski.
Hello, I'm Mark Jelinski, 8215 Garland. I'm in District 1. I'm a registered professional engineer in mechanical and fire protection and practiced for over 40 years with millions of square feet of building projects sealed across the Front Range and Mountain West. I'm a straight-up code nerd. I've been a member of the Denver Code Adoption Committee for the past several code cycles. I'm the code advocacy liaison for the Colorado Association of Healthcare Engineers and Directors, and I've provided stakeholder input to the Colorado Energy Code Board, Energize Denver, and Colorado Building Performance Standards. I serve on the Arvada Sustainability Advisory Committee, but these comments are not endorsed by the committee. These are my own. Knowing how the sausage is made in these code adoption process, I recognize the amount of work the staff has done. I'd like to express my support of adopting the Colorado Model Low Energy and Carbon Code as the Arvada Energy Code. This is a vast improvement over the base 2024 International Mechanical Code. The MLECC reduces construction cost, makes compliance, plan review, and enforcement simpler, and gets away from inconsistent energy cost metrics in favor of reducing actual energy consumption. I provided detailed written comments in the form of rebutting an open letter from the Colorado Association of Home Builders. Please refer to that letter for more information. There's one issue I'm aware of that the Colorado Energy Board is intending to clarify, and I believe that will work itself out. But I do know that the red line version that we have in the packet modifies C410.3. This may have some unintended consequences, but I expect that to be addressed by Arvada. I'd also like to express my qualified support of the 2024 International Mechanical Code. One area of concern is regarding the provisions for the new refrigerants, which are slightly flammable. The ICC code adoption process is too clunky to really adapt to this fast-moving industry consensus on this issue and is several years behind. The standard of care is the 2024 ASHRAE Standard 15, which issues updates on a continuing maintenance basis reflecting the current consensus. I recommend Arvada either adopt ASHRAE 15, similar to what Denver has done, or at least I recommend that policies be developed to include ASHRAE 15 as a preferred alternate means and methods when flammable refrigerants are used. Another area of concern of the IMC is Appendices D and E, which are proposed to be incorporated into the Mechanical Code of Arvada. Appendix D requires higher efficiency filters than would otherwise may be used, but these have a much higher pressure drop. They will restrict the type of equipment available for use in Arvada, hitting the types of low-cost, low-energy, and low-carbon systems the industry is trying to deploy, such as ductless mini-splits and VRF.
I'm sorry, your time has expired. Can you...
5 minutes?
Not 5 minutes, no.
That was written. Excuse me.
Oh, no, you have 3, it was 3 minutes
Yep,
total,
understood.
yes. Thank you. Next, I have Nathan Batchelder.
Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Nathan Batchelder, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs and Community Partnerships for CRL Associates, a local government affairs firm in the Denver metro region. CRL represents a diverse group of land developers, industry associations, and other stakeholders across Arvada and the metro region. And I appreciate the time and opportunity to speak on the residential building code provisions before you this evening. I'm here to echo and appreciate the concern that many stakeholders will be expressing regarding the proposed fire sprinkler requirement. This is a complex and nuanced issue before you, and one that several municipalities across the Front Range are also dealing with. In fact, our colleagues at the Home Builders Association in Metro Denver had intended to make comments at tonight's hearing, but they are instead attending a separate city council meeting in Erie, as we speak, the same evening, on an agenda item to repeal sprinkler mandates in that city due to the cost burdens that they have had on new residential growth. Moreover, Commerce City just recently repealed their sprinkler requirement last fall to reduce cost barriers for single-family homes, townhomes, and other for-sale products in their community. And lastly, there are many other larger jurisdictions in the metro area who do not require residential sprinkler requirements, such as Aurora, Denver, and Thornton, to name a few. Those jurisdictions made a conscious, specific decision to not require sprinkler mandates because of stakeholder input, data, and consideration of specific needs for their communities moving forward. It is our hope that Arvada can do the same. We understand that the need for cities to regularly update their building codes, but we would note that a one-size-fits-all approach may not be the best solution here in this community. As such, we recommend the City of Arvada include a thoughtful dialogue and process about the pros and cons of these requirements and what they mean for current and future Arvada residents. There are many willing and able industry partners to provide the necessary technical information and resources for you to make a thoughtful decision on this item, but we simply ask to be included in this process and have the same ability to share our perspective and concerns as others. So thank you for your leadership and understanding of such an important issue. As industry members and partners that are committed to the success of the city, we ask that you take more time to work closely with home builders, trade associations, and industry experts, all of whom quite literally and figuratively build this city to find a positive and meaningful solution for this issue that works for Arvada. And last, if I can just leave you with the policy paper from the Colorado Association of Home Builders that also has some good facts and figures for you to review. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give that to our city clerk. Thank you. Next, I have Brian Sandman.
Good evening. My name is Brian Sandman. I work with Cardell Homes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to share several concerns that I have in regards to fire suppression sprinkler systems in new construction of single-family homes. While safety is our huge priority, the evidence show that the mandates would create significant burdens without delivering proportional benefits. Fire sprinkler systems dramatically increase construction costs. Each new home would require thousands of dollars in additional installation, design, and inspection expenses. At this time, when affordability is already out of reach for a lot of families, first-time buyers and workforce families, this even takes them farther away from home ownership. Second, sprinklers add substantial complexity to the construction process. They require additional plumbing contractors, infrastructure, pressure calculations, specialized inspections. These extra steps allow timelines, introduce new failure points, and increase the risk of delays and re-inspections. This directly impacts our ability to deliver housing in a quickly and efficient manner. Once installed, sprinkler systems create a long-term maintenance burden for homeowners. Systems must be tested, monitored, and protected from corrosion, freezing, or accidental activation. When sprinklers malfunction or even misfire, the resulting water damage can be catastrophic. So mandating sprinklers would slow housing production, add steps to inspection and compliance requirements, create bottlenecks and impact builders, and ultimately reduce the number of homes available in your community. In conclusion, while fire sprinklers can be an option for those who want them, making them mandatory in a new single-family home would raise costs, slow construction, and burden home buyers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Michelle Wood.
Good evening. Like you just said, Michelle Wood. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing with Cardell Homes, and thank you for giving me a moment to speak tonight, although it is past my bedtime, but I'm happy to be here. I'm here to share why requiring builders to install interior sprinkler systems in every new home may not be the best choice for Arvada. To begin, the cost. Sprinkler systems add thousands of dollars to the price of a new home. Many families are already struggling to afford a home. At this extra cost makes homeownership less attainable. If we want to support attainable housing in Arvada, we need to be careful about adding requirements that push prices higher. Second, attainability does matter. Every new rule, even well-intended rules, add cost. These added costs make it harder for young families, teachers, first responders, and longtime residents to buy a home here. We all want safe homes, but we also want homes people can afford. Third, modern homes are already very safe. Today's building codes require fire-resistant materials, safer wiring, and interconnected smoke alarms. These features alone alert people quickly. In most cases, they already provide strong protection without needing expensive sprinkler systems added. In addition, sprinkler systems can create their own problems. A small leak, frozen pipe, or malfunction can cause major water damage. I also want to share that Cardell Homes is excited about the opportunity to build new homes in Arvada. We want to create high-quality, safe, and attainable homes for families who want to live here. But adding costly requirements like interior sprinklers makes it harder to keep prices within reach. Finally, choice is important. Builders and homeowners should be able to decide whether a sprinkler system makes sense for their needs or their budget. A one-size-fits-all rule takes away that choice. I'm not here to argue against safety. I'm here to ask that we balance safety with affordability and attainability so Arvada can remain a place where families can build a future. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community.
Thank you. And the last person I have signed up is Rose Rodriguez.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm short here. My name is Rose Rodriguez. I've worked in home building now for 22 years and currently serve as the Senior Cadence Manager for Taylor Morrison, where I coordinate project sequencing, secure permits, and track permit fees for communities like Trailstone and for our new projects such as upcoming Candelas. My team at Taylor Morrison have partnered with Chief Building Official Kylie Flynn and her team, and I need to impart how impressed we are with their professionalism, both in the office and in the field. It is consistently valued by our team. I'm here because of the residential fire sprinkler requirement, which has significant implications for housing in Arvada. Arvada is already one of the higher cost municipalities in the Denver metro area. Total fees for a 2,400 square foot home, single family home with a finished basement are just under $76,000. And the sprinkler mandate alone adds more than $15,000 to the cost of the home. We're approximating that at $4.50 per square foot. Plus ongoing costs like annual testing, higher design, permitting fees, increased water damage, insurance, and the risk of accidental activation. NAHB data shows that for every $1,000 added to the home price excludes 2,373 Coloradan households from achieving home ownership. With mortgage rates and construction costs already straining families, an added $15,000 can easily push buyers out of Arvada. When that happens, families look elsewhere, increasing regional traffic and reducing opportunities for transit and bike lane use. Mandates like this make home ownership even harder for the people who want to live here. It's also worth noting that 46 states do not require sprinklers in 1- and 2-family homes, and most Front Range municipalities have amended out this requirement. Commerce City has repealed its mandate last year, Arvada becoming an outlier, and buyers are noticing. And I would also point out, we can provide some permitting information for you. The communities that we show do not require fire sprinklers, have very few permits that are pulled for new construction, and so perhaps the map might be skewed as to where actual construction is happening. Fire safety matters, but we focus on where the actual risk exists. New homes already include strong safety features, interconnected hardwired smoke alarms, modern electrical systems, safer materials, 2-hour fire separation walls in townhomes. These improvements have helped to reduce fire fatalities by 50% since 1980. Older homes, however, carry the greatest fire risk. With aging wiring, outdated appliances, space heaters, limited egress, and insufficient smoke detection, when new homes become more expensive, families remain in older housing stock where fires are more likely to occur. Of note, residential sprinklers are not designed to save homes in wildfires, as was presented by the fire group. Even in California, where residential sprinklers have been required statewide for more than a decade, wildfire losses remain devastating because indoor systems cannot protect against exterior fire exposure. That's what the WRC WUI is meant to help with, and we shouldn't conflate the two. All of this leads to one central point. We can support fire safety without mandating a system that worsens housing affordability, especially for first-time buyers and Arvada's working families. Buyers who want sprinklers can request them, and builders can provide them. The question is whether every household should be required to absorb thousands of dollars in added costs for a system many jurisdictions, including Arvada's neighbors, have determined is unnecessary.
I'm sorry, your time has expired.
I had 2 lines.
Go for it.
Thanks. Tonight, I respectfully ask the council to amend out the residential fire sprinkler requirement from this code adoption. This is our opportunity to support affordability while maintaining strong safety standards. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Your Honor, before we get to the next one, I just had a quick administrative issue. And I apologize, I should have caught this at the very beginning. So we have 3 ordinances up for council approval tonight. We opened the first one, and then we had a presentation on all 3. And so what I'd like to do right now is have you go ahead and open the second 2. That would be CB 26006 and then CB 26007. And we'll just deem the information that council has received thus far to be included in the record for those second 2 items.
Thank you for that correction. So I will now open the public hearing item CB 26-006, an ordinance repealing and reenacting Chapter 42, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Arvada Fire Code through adoption by reference of the 2024 International Fire Code published by the International Code Council and establishing penalties for violation thereof, ordinance number 4922. And our final public hearing item, CB 26-007, an ordinance enacting a new Chapter 106 of the City Code of the City of Arvada, Colorado, relating to the establishment of the Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code, ordinance number 4923. And with that, City Attorney, we also had a couple more that had signed up for those other items, so I can go ahead and continue with public comment with those?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much. So I will now call Mark Jelinski up to provide public comment.
Hi, thank you. Mark Jelinski, 8215 Garland Drive, District 1. Gave you some of my qualifications before, code nerd, and in particular, fire protection engineer. I would like to, and I apologize if I'm not sure if this comment is under the fire code or the building code, and I'll just leave it that I will express my support for the inclusion of residential sprinklers. You've already heard all great information. There's even better information in the packet. And everybody here should see a fire burn trailer and the difference between a residential arrangement under flashover versus a sprinkler-controlled fire that is knocked down before the hot gases ever turn into flashover. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I have Mike Papatonkas signed up as well.
You're close. It's Mike Papantanakis, and I'm an Arvada resident for a long time, and I'm also a realtor and work in Old Town Arvada at the RE/MAX Alliance office. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak regarding the proposed residential fire sprinkler mandate. I strongly support efforts that improve safety, and at the same time, I believe installing residential fire sprinklers should remain a consumer choice rather than a mandate because of the impact on housing affordability, which you've heard a lot about already. In Arvada, and I'm also on the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. I invest in the Bold 2026 program, and one of the main issues we have with workforce in Arvada is the affordability and living in Arvada. So if in the Arvada median new construction list price is about $600,000. Now that includes small units as well as other. And as you heard from other people today, we're between $600,000 and $1.2 million in housing prices here. When you spend an extra $15,000 to $20,000 on a sprinkler system, that is going to add to the cost, and it is going to prohibit some people from being able to buy a home, or to even live in Arvada, even in a rental. If it's a new rental that had to have a sprinkler system, the rents could be higher as well. So the median household income is about $117,000 in Arvada. So people that are near the edge of mortgage qualification, even small increases like this can really reduce the pool of qualified buyers. This could increase a house payment by between $75 and $100 a month, and that could eliminate some buyers. Some of these people struggle to qualify at all. So there are also ongoing costs associated with the residential sprinklers, including the maintenance, inspections, potential repairs, which can create an additional long-term financial responsibility for homeowners. I support safety, but I also believe residents should have the ability to make informed decisions based on their needs and their financial situation. Keeping residential fire sprinklers as an option maintains flexibility while still allowing homeowners to choose this safety feature. I respectfully ask City Council to consider keeping residential fire sprinklers optional so Arvada can continue to support both safety and housing affordability. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I have no one else signed up. Is there anyone who would like to speak at this time on all three of these hearing items? Yes, please come forward. Please state your name and, if not your address, what part of the city you live in, and we'll ask you to fill out a form of paper when you're finished.
Will do. My name's Derek Hammer. I live at 13937 West 65th Drive, and I'm here to speak in favor of the adoption of the building codes, the fire updates, the sprinkler systems, the energy updates. All of those are good. So building codes are actually one of these quiet miracles that happened over the last century or so. Fires used to rip through cities and destroy house after house after house, destroy life after life after life. And building codes are what brought that kind of under control. And us adopting kind of this continued progress, this technological revolution really is what this is, continues on that path of safety. Sprinkler systems are very much a part of that, and I will also say that the energy updates are also kind of a part of that. Climate change is real, it's here, it's present, not future tense. It is, saving lives by taking climate change seriously and the impact of emissions. And then the last thing, I'll be real short here. I don't know if this is part of the building codes update yet, but I think it might be. And there's a Colorado Bill HB 25-1273 that allows for single stair in up to 5-story buildings or whatever. Effectively what it does is it allows for more attractive buildings in these like missing middle kind of constructions, which is really cool. I'm in favor of that. I know, we're required to do it by the end of 2027 or something, but if we're doing it now, I'm super in favor of that too. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak on these three items? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this hearing, excuse me. And now I will open for council questions. And so, Councilmember Griffith, you have been waiting. Thank you, and you may go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to start off with some questions about the Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code. I have a question about the landscape limitations. So those are, and I'm not sure who exactly I'm directing those towards, whoever wants to answer, but there's some specific requirements in the presentation and in the code, and I'm wondering, where did that come from? Was it U.S. Forest Service involved? Was ASLA, USGBC, any of these big organizations that deal in this sort of space?
All right, so primarily the Wildfire Resiliency Code for the state was based in the International Wildland Urban Interface Code. That was the basis of everything. And then the state, through, it was a 24-person board that included stakeholders that ranged the gamut, including Forest Service representatives, home builders, contractors, manufacturers. It addressed everything in that board. And what they look at, primarily we're looking at the Colorado State Forest Service planting list as being approved in Zone 2 of the defensible space model. And they're typically hardier and drought resistant sometimes. And the main point there is they are non-flammable or less flammable. The major change that was made with the Wildfire Resiliency Code is from the face of your house out 5 feet, no plantings. So it's not going to have any combustible mulch, no trees, no shrubs within 5 feet of the house. Because that's where, when all those leaves fall off, you know, they sit there. I know how hard it is getting them out of my bushes in the fall. That's where an ember will go and catch the house on fire. So the point is to try and keep fire away from the house as best possible. But the Wildfire Resiliency Code Board for the state did consult with numerous people, and then the basis of the Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code is the Jefferson County Code. And they had probably a 6-month process of taking their existing standards that they've been using for years above 6,600 feet in elevation and tailored it to Jefferson County specifically, not something that is applicable to the entire state, but Jefferson County ideally.
Yeah, one of the 2 plant species that are mentioned that would be banned is a native species. We have very few of those that actually grow here, so that's the reason why I'm asking the question about whether or not we had ecologists or landscape architects involved in the discussion to remove those plants.
Right, and I'm not, I don't know all the actual species names, but basically junipers,
yep,
that species. If you've ever seen a juniper catch on fire,
I haven't had the pleasure.
It's gasoline. I mean, you could have a 10-foot by 10-foot bush gone in 5 seconds. It goes so fast, and the heat release rate on that is immense. So that is one of the biggest plantings that cause a lot of problems. Therefore, we decided throughout Jefferson County to eliminate that in future installations. None of that would be retroactive.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. I'm going to shift from the discussion of landscape limitations for Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code. How do you say the acronym there? ARUC?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I just see it written everywhere, and I'm trying to get it all in.
Yep.
I'm going to shift from that to talk a little bit, or ask some questions rather, about the energy goals and energy code requirements. There's a lot of material in here. I know we talked about that in the workshop back in January, and I really appreciate how much organization went into this. I'm still missing a piece here that I want to make sure I understand. What is the state requiring? They're requiring us to adopt energy conservation goals, but which ones?
So we essentially have to adopt the either the 2021 or the 2024 Energy Conservation Code along with the Model Electric Ready, Solar Ready code. That code is like an amendment package. Think of it getting wrapped right into that. So if we were to adopt that, we'd have to redline all of that into one amendment package in our ordinance. The other option, of course, is to go with the 2024. Again, too many acronyms tonight. I'm losing it.
It's okay, me too.
2024 Energy Conservation Code, and we could still go with the Model Electric Ready, Solar Ready code package. And then the other option was to go with the 2024 Energy Conservation Code with the low energy carbon code. Essentially now we have the one book. That's that option now.
Okay.
And we have to adopt that, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We have to adopt the low energy carbon code regardless. If we were to adopt after July 1st, we would have to do this anyways. So in the future, we will have to adopt this code.
Okay, so that was my next question, was to make sure I understood the timeline. July 1st of this year, we have to adopt the energy code you just talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that helps me with that piece. I have two more questions. I have a question for staff, and this may be, tell me if this is off base, but it's a real estate question, real estate economics question. Is it reasonable to say that if you're increasing the value of $2 or $4 per square foot, whatever it is, of a new building product, there is a subsequent effect with the cost per square foot of all other residential building products, regardless of where they are on the cost scale? That's an open question.
Sorry, Councilmember Griffith, I can't answer that question for you.
I was wondering where Rob
Not a
was.
mathematician, not an economist. I don't know if maybe some of my colleagues might be able to answer that.
And it doesn't have to be a yes or no. I'm just kind of trying to have a conversation here about what cost impacts we're really talking about whenever we say there is an impact, and it sounds like we all acknowledge there's an impact. This is a sprinkler question. For new builds, I'm not an economist either, but it would seem to me that if you're making impacts to the top of the market, there's adjustments all throughout the market. I don't have the information to say that that's fully accurate, though.
I don't think that we could confirm that with you either.
Okay.
It would be hard to say. And I think really getting to the meat of the presentation that we've had from our colleagues, when trying to round up and identify what the specific cost savings are is complicated. There are a lot of opportunities within all of our codes to save money, to, combine efforts, to do a lot of things that create efficiencies that can save money. Sprinklers, I think what they've really been trying to demonstrate tonight is that there could be savings from insurance costs, even being able to get insured in certain areas. That's become kind of problematic in some of the wildfire areas. There are costs associated with it, but these are not the majority of the costs that are associated with a brand new home. It's a small percentage that contributes to the overall cost. I think that's really the point that they're trying to make.
Okay.
Whether it's retrofitting an existing home with a sprinkler system, that's not on the table tonight. If a homeowner opted to do that, they could do that. It would cost them. But I think it's also, as much as we try to talk about dollars and cents, we also have to talk about life safety. As much as it's a calibration, it's also about saving lives, which is, I think, the primary consideration that our team has come to you with. We want to talk about that because that's our primary goal and the objectives that we have to serve our community.
Okay. No, I appreciate that, and thank you for making an attempt at something we're trying to figure out here. Follow-up question to that. I know we don't have an answer to this, but I want to bring it up as a question anyway. Do we have a sense in any way, shape, or form of what parts of the code are going to increase costs for residents or home builders or anybody that chooses to do business or live in Arvada versus benign or maybe even savings? Do we have those categorized at all?
I will start by saying that these changes are new, and I don't think there's a lot of data to give identified, distinct cost analysis for everything. We can give you some of the cost benefits and savings, and I can give you some of the things that may cause cost increases, but it may not too, because to Jessica's point, there's a lot of options. You can build a home in a million different ways. This code doesn't tell you you can't do something. I always joke that we're not the planning department and we don't tell you you can't use a certain color or anything like that. We are telling you you can do a million different ways to get there, and there are a lot of different options to get there. So it really, really is hard to give full numbers just because of the options that there are. I will say we did put together some, as far as sprinkler systems, there are some new incentives in the 2024 residential code that are helpful. I'm excited to share these too with the building community here because I think they're pretty cool, just in case. One of them is including a sprinkler system in a residential home means that you don't have to have egress windows in basement bedrooms. So there's some cost savings there, incentive-wise. Additionally, you don't have to have fire protection of floor assemblies. That's a cost savings. Fire protection of floor assemblies, if you don't know, is some stuff like half-inch drywall on your ceiling is typically the minimum requirement, but a lot of the time we see products like no burn or intumescent spray or mineral wool and things like that, so that's a cost savings. When you have fire sprinkler systems, you also do not have to have structural independence on foundations between townhomes. You also don't have to have a 2-hour rated assembly. You can have a 1-hour rated assembly with one wall now because it's structurally independent. So there's a lot of cost savings there. The other thing is you can have increased sleeping loft areas, increased habitable attic areas inside of your home. So there's just a lot of nuance and things. There's a lot of different ways you could build this. It's extremely difficult. We do have some code provisions as well that provide cost savings that we haven't even had a moment to discuss, but there are quite a few as well with this code adoption. So
Yeah, I just wish it was called the Affordability Housing Code instead of the Energy Housing Code. But I have another question, maybe just actually 1.5. I know a number of other cities have enacted sprinklers, and then now they've pulled them back. Do we know why? Or is it so nuanced that we couldn't possibly capture it? I can think of 2. There may be others, I don't know.
Yeah, I talked with the fire marshal from Commerce City and South Adams County Fire, and the best thing that I could glean from the conversation is it was a political decision. Without really going into the details of what that political decision was, they determined it was best for their community, right? They have to do what's best for them. I do want to point out with the, at least from what I'm told, the original sprinkler adoption in Commerce City wasn't necessarily a wholesale adoption. It was depending on certain setbacks. So you could have homes closer together if they were sprinklered, but if they were a certain distance apart, they did not have to be sprinklered. I won't say that's gospel. That's what I was told by the fire department there.
Okay. I appreciate that. My last question is for staff. This is not a got you. This is a legitimate question to illustrate a point that I want to make sure we understand. Mr. Wick, do we have an estimate for the number of folks that are homeless in Arvada?
I think that we estimate somewhere around 300.
Thank you, sir. And how many house fires did we have last year?
Last year alone, I don't know that specific number off the top of my head, but probably about 50.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Ambrose, you are next.
Great, thank you so much. Can you just clarify, and I also want to thank Ms. Flynn very much. I got to work with you a little bit on the building code appointees and learned a lot from you there, so really appreciate all your work that you're doing in trying to get this ordinances updated and all the work you do every day. Thank you. Yeah. So I just want to be clear about this ordinance and retrofits, that this is not addressing retrofits, because that was mentioned at some point in the presentation about if your roof, you're only replacing 25% or less, it doesn't trigger the code, but that is not what we're discussing here tonight, correct?
Are you asking that question in reference to fire sprinklers or the wildfire resiliency code? So the two completely separate requirements, right? So when we're looking at those percentage requirements of modifications on the home for the wildfire resiliency code, it applies to the wildfire resiliency code, not residential sprinklers.
Gotcha.
Our intent and our goal all along has been brand new construction, no remodels. Even if you completely gut your house, you do not have to install a sprinkler system.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make that very clear that we're talking about two different,
And I can add something to the point of wildfire codes. If you are, because Stephen briefly spoke about this, for the roof, I just want to clarify, if it's over 25% and you're replacing your roof, that part doesn't trigger the defensible space, but we're going to work with you at that point to help educate. The siding replacement over 25%, though, does trigger the need for 5 foot of defensible space. So I just wanted to clarify. They are
Okay.
different things.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make it clear that it's like, if I get a new roof, I have to put in sprinklers. Like, I don't want that getting out there. I want to make it clear that there's 2 different types of ordinances we're talking about here. Could somebody give me an example of the kinds of flexibility that could happen with the full adoption of the sprinkler update? Like things that, like you were starting to mention some of the affordability things that could help, but I was also had the honor to be with the fire chief today to talk about some of those flexibilities of like, you know, because there are sprinklers, the streets don't have to be as wide. Because there are sprinklers, you can have more housing density and things like that. Can you talk about some more of those?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. There's quite a few. I'm not going to be able to hit on them all. I mentioned no egress windows in basement bedrooms. That's a cost savings. We estimated, I did some calculation. We estimate for like a 2-bedroom home with 2 bedrooms in the, two bedrooms in the basement of a home could be around somewhere on the low end of like $5,000 savings, just for that alone. The fire protection of floor assemblies could be around $1,500 to $3,000 worth of savings for not having to do that in a basement. Typically people like drywall on their ceilings on the main level. And the second, you know, so that's not something that necessarily will come into play, but it's an option if someone wanted to have exposed ceilings. Additionally, for the townhome provisions, we spoke about not needing to, with the sprinkler system, have structural independence. That means you don't have to have a foundation and a footer in between your townhome walls anymore. You can have a different provision there and design it differently. You also don't have to have a 2-hour rated assembly. That means now you can have 1 wall instead of 2, because they're not structurally independent, and you can have a 1-hour rated assembly there instead. So that's a significant cost savings. I guessed on the low end, maybe $18,000 for a 4-plex type of situation for savings. And I did this very sparingly because I don't have the exact numbers. And to Councilmember Griffith, to what we just spoke about, there is so much data and so many options, it's really difficult. There's other things as well. When you have a townhome complex that doesn't now need independent foundations between units, you don't have to have a radon system under every single unit. You can have a radon system, just one serving the entire building now at that point. So there's a cost savings there. We didn't even speak about, you can now build closer together. You can build to, you know, essentially 3 foot to a property line or a fire separation line, whichever, without needing a 1-hour rated assembly. So there's those cost savings as well. And of course, we have to consider there's planning requirements and engineering standards and things that these sound great in the building code, but we work with those departments and some of them may not be applicable as well. Fire hydrant spacing, I think we've established that's not an option, but it is an option in our building codes. And then street width, what else in the fire code am I missing? There's a bunch.
Yeah, so with street widths and fire hydrants specifically, I've worked with city staff now on this for, you know, the better part of 8 years. And because of various other reasons, you know, hydrant spacing, the city has kept their distribution standard the same. So that necessarily isn't allowed to be taken out of the fire code as a trade-off, so to speak. I know road widths are a big thing, especially, you know, in communities that want to do a lot more traffic calming. This does allow for narrower streets, but again, that would have to be in conjunction with the infrastructure team to determine is that the right thing to do for that particular community. Other things that you can do is reduce the number of access points. So anytime you have a single-family development, detached single-family homes, anytime you exceed 30 homes, you have to have 2 separate points of access. If you sprinkler it, you only need 1. And we all know, I deal with it all the time, seeing all these infill developments coming in. Getting a secondary access in can be very challenging. So that is very desirable to a lot of these communities in these infill locations, that they don't have to find easements or other ways to get a secondary access in there.
Okay, great. That's all the questions I have for right now.
Thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Okay, I think you got me narrowed down to one question because you answered without us asking, so good job. On the WUI risk maps, it's not clear which one is which on any of the appendixes. So could you bring those up and explain which one is which? Yeah. And then which one is the I think you have one as class 2 or class 1. Or
Yeah. So when you're looking at the state map, so on the image on the top, that's the state map. So anything that's kind of the orange, darker yellow, and the red is going to be in the class 2 or the higher risk classification.
The yellow, orange, and red.
But specifically the yellow, the true yellow color, is going to be our class 1.
Okay.
Per the state code. And I do apologize on the one that we proposed to maintain alignment with Jefferson County does have our communities of interest through our CWPP identified in there, just to kind of show you a little bit of contrast to show that our CWPP is actually aligned with what the Jefferson County map shows for wildfire risk. So the blue on the lower map is going to be our class 1.
Okay.
So our lower risk classification. Anything that's orange, minus those blobs, because those are our communities of interest through our CWPP, is going to be the class 2 or the higher hazards.
And the blue?
The blue is going to be our lower hazard.
So the rail line is considered low hazard? Because that blue between Candelas and Line Rock, that's
Yes.
the rail line.
Yep.
And industrial. So you're saying that that is a low risk?
Well, based on the maps that they put together, that the state was only looking at fire intensity. How intense will a fire get should there be one in that specific location? What the Jefferson County map did is it took the fire intensity plus the ember cast plus the built environment. So it's not saying that that is not a risk. It's just a lower risk in that particular area.
Did they look at probability?
They do
Burn
look
probability?
at they look at varying percentiles of probability.
Okay.
And I believe they did it in the 90th percentile.
Okay, so blue is really of no concern.
I wouldn't say no concern.
Well,
It's
what
going to
part
be
of the-
more of our structure hardening.
So which code is it? Is it a class 1 or class 2?
The blue is going to be class 1, which
With-
is our lower requirement.
With the green? What's the green?
We must be getting different colors on here.
That screen should be replaced. That's not what the colors look like.
Okay.
I'm talking about Candelas and Line Rock. They're
Yeah, so
green- they're
Candelas
green
and
on
Line
our
Rock,
map.
those do fall within the lower classification, and the primary driver of that is the vegetation. Yes, we do have grasses there, but those grasses do not provide as significant of an ember cast or fire intensity. So when we look at protecting those areas of our community, we want to harden the structures from those larger vegetation, those pine trees, conifer trees, those things that will blow into that area. Those grasses are going to go quick, and if we can mitigate that and do some defensible space, as we've seen many times, I think we showed the picture at the workshop of if you do one mow line along your fence line, that fire on 82nd Avenue didn't even get to Line Rock.
Okay, because, I mean, you have Rocky Flats and everything else at a higher, and that's
Right.
all grassland too. There's no really trees out there. So just trying to understand, if we're thinking about communities, they're that right there, I just mentioned too, and that's over 3,100 houses.
Right.
And if they're surrounded by what you're calling a high to moderate fire intensity community, just wanted to make sure I understood that.
And we always have the ability to make the map more restrictive. So if you see from the state map on the top to what we're proposing at the bottom, it is much more restrictive because that's taking into account that ember cast that can go, hundreds and thousands of feet. So if city staff and city council decides that we want specific areas to be a higher classification, that can happen. But the dichotomy of putting the wildfire risk map with our CWPP findings is our CWPP didn't put Candelas and Leiden in the highest risk classification. So it does seem to line up very well.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure because those are different code requirements based on where houses are.
Correct.
So just want to make sure I understood those. interesting that we just did a first reading on properties that are in the orange, or I don't know, whatever color that is, but it's your class 2 area. Kind of curious how timing is. If we do approve this, and with that, it's based on when permits are pulled, right?
Correct. So this doesn't, statutorily by the state, we have to have it adopted by April 1st and enforcement by July 1st, but they don't give any detail on what enforcement actually means. So that's up to city staff to decide what that enforcement.
Well, if it's new build, I think they would have to follow some of these rules, wouldn't they? I would assume
Correct.
the fences within 8 feet of a building need to be that fire,
Non-combustible.
non-combustible, no plantings within 5 feet. All of that would be in the, basically when we approve the buildings, right, the permits, right?
Yeah, we'd be looking at the structure hardening.
You would,
components.
and I think she
Actually,
wants, I think she wants
Kylie's
the
gonna
microphone.
do everything.
She's about to kick you off that microphone.
I was itching. So just as he just mentioned, they left this up to us to implement and to enforce. So we get to decide that, and that's where we've created an implementation plan. So we are allowing some of that, again, phased approval, so that some of the projects already in development can plan accordingly. I can't imagine being a builder right now in a development application stage and then being told all of a sudden that you have to add sprinklers, or you have to add brand new siding materials or roofing materials that you weren't already considering, and that's the purpose of that. The state has intentionally left that up to us. We want to use that resource so that we can help the community with this implementation. So.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Levison.
Thank you so much. So I got 3 questions. The first one being, it looks like according to local data based on the 63 systems, the cost was like $8,900 or $3.23 per square foot compared to the home building estimate at $15,000 to $20,000. First of all, is that correct? And then why do we know why there's a discrepancy between those?
I can't say definitively because that $15,000 to $20,000 it was provided to me from the Home Builders Association based on one specific project. I don't know if that's statewide, nationwide, but all I can speak to is the actual cost of the systems that we have seen be submitted to Arvada Fire, and it does come to that $3 and $3.25 roughly. But if you look at what the city of Westminster has done, they've been doing this again for 13 years. They're seeing costs as low as $2.50 up to, on the high end, $3.50. And that's their actual cost that they have seen over that 13-year time span. So I can't speak to other people's data. I'll just speak to mine definitively saying that that's what I've seen out of those 63 projects.
Okay, I appreciate that. And then my next one would be mentioning all the savings. How do we ensure those savings are realized by residents and not lost along the way?
There are so many ways I think we could do this, and I have many ideas. One, I think it's not always advertised some of the flexibilities in the code, and I think we can certainly do that. Something we've done as part of this code adoption to address some of the A2L changes, we created an alternative means and methods form that's available online. That is an option if anyone can establish that a code provision, a design, a method of installation meets our code provisions and can demonstrate that it's not lessening life safety or accessibility and meets the intent of the code, that's an option for people to use. So that's something I think as far as advertising some of these alternative means and savings and those kinds of things, I think is a big deal. I think we could do things like handouts and resources. I think we could do informational videos or, again, just updating the website with some of these options. Something that staff already does that I want to point out, anytime that we see a cost savings for a builder or a homeowner or a permit applicant, we mention it. We like to give you cost savings. One thing we already do with that is the master permit process. We usually sit down and have a conversation with the builder and say, what's the best way to master your permits so that you're saving money on permitting fees? These are things we already do. Taylor Morrison is a great person to reach out about this. We do that, on a typical basis with builders. It's something we like to do. We like to provide cost savings. So I think to answer your question, there's a lot of different ways we could do it. I think we already do some of that. And I think just with these code changes, some of that will come naturally where staff is able to say, hey, I see a cost savings for you. Did you know you can do this instead? Did you know you don't have to have an egress window in your basement bedroom? Or that you don't have to have fire protection of floor assemblies if you have sprinklers? There's a lot of things I think we could do.
Perfect. And then my last one being, if we were to do sprinklers, would we support any of the maintenance for residents, such as the freeze protection, leaks, or accidental damage, or any kind of support there?
Yeah, so as far as inspections are concerned, there are none. Once we are done with the formal inspections as part of the permitting process. This system is designed to, once it's installed, as long as you don't turn it off, it just stays there, right? Then comes in some of the education that we have to provide to these new homeowners of don't paint a sprinkler, don't hang things from sprinklers. But aside from that, don't block them, right? Aside from that, there is zero maintenance on these systems. They sit there and they wait to be called upon. What was the second part of that question? So it was the maintenance and...
Basically, like if there was flooding issues due to that.
Yeah, so I mean, these are very reliable systems. I can give you guys a sprinkler and you can drop it on the floor and it will not break. I mean, more often than not, when we see a sprinkler unintentionally break, it's a forklift, right? If you look at all of the apartment buildings that we have throughout the city of Arvada, I can't think of a single unintentional activation of a sprinkler. So if we're looking at the reliability, when we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apartment units that already have sprinklers in them, that have people living in them, that have kids in there, we're not seeing any unintentional activations.
Thank you so much.
I do see your light, Councilmember Pfeiffer, but Councilmember Davis hasn't gone yet, so is that all right if I give her the next bite at the apple? Please, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentations. Just a couple of things. We were talking about the adoption of the residential sprinkler system. Did they adopt that in full or in part? Did they say everybody has to be new builds, or did they say certain builds have to have the fire suppression system built in, and then an option would be for a single-family dwelling that's new to be built, that buyer could say yes or no?
And I assume you're talking about the international codes?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in 2009 is when they implemented this, and they gave, I believe it was a 2-year buffer, that it was in the 2009 edition, but it didn't become an absolute requirement until 2011. Once that 2011 date hit, the intent of the code was, build it to this. So any new construction built after 2011 should have had a sprinkler system in it, as opposed to pulling it out. There's so many other things within the residential code or a building code that we don't just pull out because we think that it's going to save money. These are intended to save lives, and unfortunately, many people just don't quite understand that this isn't the major impact on housing affordability.
Thank you. And then the chief from Westminster, and thank you for being here tonight, mentioned external sprinkler systems. How does that work in the winter?
Yeah, so with what they did there, they did that as an addition to NFPA 13D, which we are not proposing here, but what it is, it's called a dry sprinkler, and they do it based on the minimum anticipated temperature. So you don't need a dry system, you don't need a separate sprinkler system. It's a sprinkler about yay long, and it goes right into your wet system, so that the sprinkler that's sitting outside, it can get cold, and it has that typically 12 inches to where it's not going to go back into the wet system and freeze. So that's what we do. If you look at many apartment complexes, there's sprinklers on the balconies. It's the same idea.
Thank you. And then I am assuming that in these systems that they're either separate or they have a backflow prevention device?
Yeah, so I worked extensively with the infrastructure team, primarily utilities and engineering, and we enacted, I say we, the city enacted engineering standards for the water system that works for the city. So it's not going to be a separate fire line for the sprinkler system. It's the same line coming in as your domestic water. Once it gets into your house, it'll tee off and you'll have your domestic system and then you'll have your sprinkler system. And to your question about backflow prevention, what we do, and this is approved by AWWA, it was actually, they came up with this, is called a passive purge, where you tie in the most remote part of the sprinkler system into a toilet, a clothes washer, so that anytime that water runs, the water through the sprinkler system circulates and you don't have that stagnant water. Therefore, you do not need a backflow prevention device there. We did address the meter size, that we limited it to a 3/4 inch meter, which is slightly larger than the 5/8 by 3/4. But we decided that in order to maintain consistency and effectiveness of the infrastructure team, that we wanted to max that out at 3/4. And we also put in flow restrictions as well as pressure restrictions based on what that meter can do. So it will put some sprinkler designers to the test a little bit initially, but I used to be a sprinkler system designer, and a 3/4 inch meter I was able to make work 99% of the time, unless we're looking at, 15,000 square foot home.
15,000 square foot home. Wow.
They're out there.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I didn't get through all my chicken scratch. I forgot one other question. On the you said on remodels, we're not going to require sprinklers, but have we thought of a way or an innovative way that, we have a lot of folks that are taking a home and getting it down to studs. Should we be incentivizing, maybe not require, but discounting permit fees or something to incentivize somebody while you're down to studs? Why not put that sprinkler system? Because I kind of feel like having this discussion on the limited new homes we're going to have doesn't change the number of fatalities you have. I mean, we might get maybe another 500 to 1,000 homes, maybe, residential homes, 1 or 2 family. We still have another 45,000 that are still here that don't. So I'm just curious if we put some thought into this, into remodels, like major remodels. I'm not talking about like you're just doing your kitchen or just doing your bathroom. I'm talking like somebody who takes it down to the studs.
So, yeah, I mean, there has been thought there. But my approach on this specifically has been a marathon trying to get just new construction through there. And not everybody sitting up here tonight was part of the last conversation or the conversation before that.
And you weren't here in 2011 when I was up here talking about this.
That's correct.
Neither was Chief Locke or actually nobody.
Yeah, I've only been here the last about 12 years. But my intent and my goal was just to get the minimum requirements of the code in there, and that's for new construction. If you all choose that, that's the best idea, I'm all for it. My team is ready to do the plan reviews, do the inspections in a timely and cost-effective manner. But I didn't want to come in and throw all this out there. I want to take it step by step based on the needs of the community.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Griffith.
I just had one additional question. I actually have a different understanding of the costs for maintenance. I understand that Denver and Fort Collins and several other cities that don't have mandates for fire sprinklers, but they do have them in their cities, they require a licensed contractor to look at it every year. Why would we not do that in Arvada?
So those are for commercial systems. So when you look at sprinkler systems, there's 3 types. NFPA 13D, which is for single-family residential, or 1 and 2 family residential. 13R are for apartment complexes, essentially. And then 13 systems are for commercial occupancies. When you look at 13R and NFPA 13 systems, those do require periodic inspections, whether that be quarterly in certain circumstances or annually. And they do have some 5-year requirements. But specifically within the NFPA 13D standard, there is no maintenance requirement because that system is just supposed to sit there and
I also understand that insurance companies can require you to do inspections and require a licensed contractor to do that. Is that incorrect?
I haven't seen that. Again, you know, here in Arvada Fire Protection District, we don't have a huge stock of that right now. I haven't heard that.
Okay.
Not saying it's not true, but.
I appreciate it. Since I have the microphone, staff, is home rule in any way applicable to this requirement at the state level for the energy code adoption?
It's an excellent question that we could have a really long discussion on.
Oh, great.
So I can get you some additional information on this if you'd really like to consider this in some amount of detail. But it would be the same general analysis that we've gone through with our ongoing litigation right now. Is this a matter of local concern versus is this a matter of statewide concern? So there's a lot to unpack there, probably more than we have time to do tonight. But just know that if you want additional information on this, I can definitely provide you with some more detailed information. It's just a very long response.
Yeah, the requirement was not voted on by the population. This was initiated by the legislature. Is that right?
That's my understanding,
Okay.
yes. It's statutory.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions.
Councilmember Griffith, this is Jessica. I also just wanted to point out that we have a strong tradition of following building codes and adopting building codes in the city of Arvada, I believe since the 50s, and that's a well-worn tradition.
Okay, I see no more lights, so I think we're ready for motion. And so if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong here, City Attorney, that we will take each of these individually. And to be very clear, that CB 26005, the very first one, does not include sprinklers. That's on the second one, correct?
I believe that's accurate, but
Okay.
I assume someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yes, I'd like to get a separate motion on each of these individual ordinances that council is voting on tonight.
Correct. Okay, so I will open the floor to council to make a motion on CB 26-005. And I see some lights, so Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I get the easy one. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah. Which one is this one that we're adopting? Is this Chapter 18? So Chapter 18 does include the sprinkler system provisions.
So, good, I'm glad you corrected me on that one. The other thing I wanted to make sure I pointed out, this is the one, as Ms. Flynn pointed out at the beginning, we did one very minor change between first reading and the public hearing. So the motion is slightly different because if council passes it as is, we're still going to have to publish it in full as part of the approval. So I had emailed council new motion language, and so that would be the motion language that you would use for this one if you choose to approve it.
Okay, so I need help. Then you're saying that the sprinklers are included in CB 26-005. Then for clarification, CB 26-006, which says Chapter 42, Fire Prevention and Protection, that's dealing with the WUI. I'm sorry, I need some help here.
Chapter 18 is for essentially all of the building codes. It includes the residential code, which includes the sprinkler provisions out of the residential code. Chapter 42 is for the fire code, which does not include the sprinkler system requirements for residential that we're voting on. And then Chapter 106 is for wildfire.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, so Councilmember Pfeiffer, are you making a motion?
Yeah, do you want me to do all three as we go one by one? I think I got it down if you want.
Okay, please do so.
Okay. So the only thing that, just to make sure I'm clear, the only difference is at the end you want it published in full. That's the only
Correct.
difference. Okay. So I move
As
that.
amended and published in full.
Oh, as amended. Okay. I move that Council Bill 26005, an ordinance repealing and reacting Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Regulations of the Arvada City Code through the adoption of general and administrative provisions and adoption by reference of the 2024 International Building Code, the 2024 International Residential Code, the Colorado Low Energy and Carbon Code based on the 2024 International Energy Conservation Code, the 2024 International Existing Building Code, and the 2024 International Fuel Gas Code, the 2024 International Mechanical Code and the 2024 International Plumbing Code, the 2024 International Property Maintenance Code, the 2024 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. It's always funny. I wish we had more swimming pools, but we don't. I don't think we have them out here. The most current national electrical code from the National Fire Protection Association, and the adoption of penalties for violation thereof be, approved as amended on first reading, number 4921, and ordered published full.
On final reading, but yes.
On final reading.
Okay, so we now have a motion, and I have some members who would like to speak to the motion, starting with Councilmember Ambrose.
I don't.
Okay, my correction, Councilmember Griffith.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to discuss a modification to this, but before I do, I just want to make a point, and it was about my first line of questions, last question. I think it's pretty easy to demonstrate that there's an affordability challenge regionally that affects Arvada in housing. And it's illustrated perfectly by the presentation where we see the housing cost average is so high, and we're talking about median incomes being less than half of that is what they could afford for housing. So it really illustrates the point. And doubling down on that with anything that increases the cost of housing, when today we have code that is adequate, in my opinion. Others disagree, that's okay. Really says, okay, this is not as big of an issue because we want modern code. We're worried about environmental impacts. We're worried about all this. Look, I agree with a lot of that, but I'm not willing to price people out of neighborhoods and communities to potentially move the needle an immeasurably small amount on the environment. I'm not willing to do that. I think we're not in a building code crisis. We're in an affordability crisis. However, understanding that there are state requirements that we're going to be beholden to, I think it's expedient of us to find a way to enact the code. So with that being said, I'd like to focus the attention on the sprinklers as an item to consider removing from this code, the mandatory sprinklers for single-family detached housing products, because that does have a measurable impact on the cost of housing. We don't have time to sit here and look at every line of the code change to say what is going to increase, decrease, or be benign. And I acknowledge that, but this is something that we have looked at regardless of the savings potentiality. We know it's going to cost new home buyers and potentially cost existing home buyers and existing housing stock to rise in costs. So I just wanted to put that out there as a discussion item, and then I would like to offer it as a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend.
Correct.
Which would be to remove the sprinkler requirement from the code before us.
Do I need to make that motion before we talk about it?
Yes.
Okay. I move that we eliminate the sprinkler requirement for single-family detached housing from the motion that's currently on the floor.
Okay, now we will open up discussion for the proposed amendment. And I have Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would not be in support of the amendment because I think we need to pass the full requirement for the sprinkler systems. I've been persuaded by the evidence that this actually has minimal effects on the cost of housing from 1% to 3%, and that many other cities have passed this requirement. I think when we're thinking about this, we're not thinking about just the people in the house having time to escape, but also the firefighters who are responding to these calls, who have to, even after the people who have escaped the house, have to put the fire out because it presents a danger to further surrounding homes, neighborhoods, and habitat. And I think the other thing to consider is that the fire spreading from one home to another home. So it's not just, again, the people inside of the house hearing the fire alarm, leaving, whoo, we're okay. It is the fire suppression that saves the lives of the firefighters and the neighborhood surrounding for it. It's just a really serious issue. I heard just a case today about how there was a fire suppression system in a retirement home, and there was a microwave oven that went off, and everybody thought this was going to be, 5-alarm fire. Everybody's got to respond, but the fire suppression system took care of it before the firefighters even arrived. And I just think that's the kind of safety that we need. That's the kind of safety that our neighbors have. And I think that also the full adoption of the code gives our staff flexibility. Sorry about that. It gives our staff flexibility to work with developers to make exceptions on other parts of the code where it makes sense in the name of affordability. Whereas we make it optional now, we don't have that kind of like negotiation and leverage to work with them to ask for them to put in these sprinklers. Whereas if it's like that's the blanket for all new builds, and then we can negotiate from there in the name of affordability so that developers can build something that still protects their margins, then I think that's the stance. We want to put our city staff in the strongest position there rather than trying to ask for sprinklers on top of every development. I think it's a big equity issue that the developments that can afford it, that the builders that want to put it in, mean that they get this safety. And I feel like when you're a firefighter, you're responding to a call whether it has a suppression system or not, and you really want that protection and safety as much as possible. So while I agree that most of the housing stock is older and that the doesn't have sprinklers and retrofits is a completely different question. I think moving forward, we should do the safest thing for our firefighters and people living in Arvada. And so I'll be voting for full adoption.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis, you are next.
Thank you. I would say that I partially support that, in that the single-family dwellings, that makes sense. When we're talking about the multifamily dwellings or the senior living, those are clustered together, so I get the fire suppression system completely. I think we're already doing that, so that's already on the books. If we only have space for another, what did you estimate, Councilmember Pfeiffer? Additional homes? About 1,000 homes, but then we have all these other homes, like in my neighborhood, that were built in the early 50s that do not have fire suppression, and we are partial siding and brick. What does that make sense? I'm thinking also of, and I didn't have a chance to ask this, I didn't take the opportunity to ask, in terms of getting the unhoused into homes. And they're on the verge of either buying or renting. And if we have townhomes and those products, with the fire suppression system, that's great. But is the rent then going to be increased? Much to your point, Mr. Griffith, is that every time we incrementally increase the price of a house, we who did not buy the homes or who are living in the neighborhood, we take advantage of that. We benefit from that. In my neighborhood, people are flipping homes to the tune of $700,000, which meant our home price, which has been basically untouched, is almost $600,000. It's valued by the county. If I were to sell it or rent it, I'm not going to rent it at a discount. So that's why I kind of want to support this, but I think we should put guardrails, allow the fire department to have some leverage with the road widths and those types of requirements. But in the multifamily, where there are 4 or more units, definitely it makes sense. And then we have the flexibility that's in the code of what you can build with and not have egress windows and that type of thing. And maybe that's something you want in your duplex because you're going to live in half of it and rent the other half. So I just, I don't want to take a hard line that we don't put the fire suppression systems in. I think, to me, it would be how far are they apart, where are they located, and if they're that far apart, then I'm going to assume that those people might be allowed to be able to buy those, to put in those fire suppression systems, and I would if I were spending that kind of money. So that, I'm on the bubble. If I could be persuaded by another council member, that would be great.
Your Honor, if I may add clarification to my motion? Not change the words, but just the intent.
Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I appreciate that. Specific to the language that I used, single-family detached housing products. So that's a single-family home that's not attached. It's not a duplex, a quad, or anything else like that. These are just homes that are discrete one-family homes that I want to exempt from the sprinkler requirement.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer, you are next.
So the discussion around affordability or the price of a home has always been interesting to me. So I'll just share my thoughts around it because I know there's communities, there's been some comments made tonight, and we've always noted that Arvada is expensive. Well, the housing is expensive because people would like to live here, and so supply and demand drive that. There's communities that have been in more modern codes than we have. I mean, we have a delay in our codes, and where I know some communities were already in 2021's codes, already adopted 2024 codes, yet their houses are cheaper in their community that are just in this area. So it's a hard argument for me to understand that, oh my gosh, you're going to price yourself out because we added $3 more a square foot. The market's going to drive the price. What we're talking about is the margins I think the developer is interested in more than anything, because like the Marshall Fire is a clear example of what the codes were there. Now they did some adjustments for the fire rebuild, but what's interesting is a lot of the houses that were built are built to today's codes, 2021 codes mostly, or 24. But also finding that other communities, and let me kind of clarify, we've always been delayed in our codes being adopted. Doesn't matter, we're always behind. So we're talking about 2018, and I just got batteries put into my house. That'll be great for the fire department. Probably don't like that idea. But the debate around that was, the 2018 code says I only need to have a heat sensor above the batteries, where the 2024 needs a sensor hooked into the whole house system. That's a key difference. Cost difference, there's a little bit because you got to buy all new sensors inside the house. But it's not that big to discourage the person building it to do that. But it makes it safer. The point I'm trying to make here is we in Arvada have always had older codes than a lot of the communities around us. So the builders have benefited building recently on older codes than where other communities around us have been on newer codes. So if there is a code argument that codes are making more expensive, I don't believe that, because it's been happening in other communities. And another example that might be more relative is how low our tap fees have been for decades and decades, being the lowest in the area, and we just finally got into the middle of the market with our tap fees. And that's an example of how cheap it was to build here in Arvada, and the margins are just better. So for me, I think the argument, I've been listening to this since November of 2011. I know exactly because it was the first business meeting after I was elected about this topic. I did not support it then because I think it wasn't mature enough. But it's interesting that Westminster has been doing it since 2013, and we haven't heard much of it. So for all of those reasons, and not seeing the financial impact based on just code changes that is detrimental to the affordability of the houses, I don't see that argument as valid. So therefore, I'll be supporting or not supporting his request to remove the sprinklers out of single homes.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that Westminster's population has been going down, and they aren't building like we are in Arvada. I'd also like to point out...
Councilmember, you're out of order.
Oh, I thought we were allowed to talk.
Well, we can debate that.
Yeah. We can't talk?
I'm okay if you are, but I'll let it be.
Yes, we have, so...
Go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I just want to stay in order out of respect, but we can certainly come back to the topic. So Councilmember Levison is next, and then Councilmember Davis, and then we can come back to you, Councilmember Griffith. Is that all right? Okay.
Thank you so much. So safety is a non-negotiable for me. I do want to acknowledge that there's a cost barrier, but no cost outweighs that of life. So when I was looking through this, to me, how do we make this a yes? And with hearing the information on the effects of the housing market, and then to echo what Councilmember Ambrose mentioned, only folks that can afford it will have it. I would like to revisit this with more data, but I think Another thing to look at is there's things we can control and there's things we can't control. And these residential sprinklers are something we can control. So with that, I would be in favor of full adoption of this ordinance.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. This is a question for staff. Of those communities that adopted the full fire code and for internal suppression, fire suppression, do we know why they are repealing it? For example, tonight, yeah, I know Erie is. Erie's council is voting to repeal the requirement for internal fire suppression. So it'd be interesting to know why all of these communities like Commerce City and Denver adopted and then they decided to repeal it. I'm just interested. Anyone?
Well, I don't know that we know the answer especially about Erie for tonight. Mr. Parker talked a little bit ago about why Commerce City made the change. It would be something that we would have to go back and look at if you are wanting us to specifically understand that.
I'm just interested. We've done so many comparisons to other cities for other items and issues that it would be interesting to know, because one thing I don't want to do, or I would like to try to avoid at this juncture, is we go ahead and we adopt everything, and then 6 months later, we're coming back to you to repeal it. And that if we're seeing this is happening in Thornton and other cities of our ilk in the Front Range, then it's just interesting.
Okay, I will come back to you, Councilmember Griffith, and then Councilmember Ambrose will follow.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So in Superior, this is something I'm familiar with, they actually enacted their sprinkler requirements. They had the Marshall Fire, which was really tragic and very difficult. As those community members were trying to rebuild their homes, before I get to that, I'll mention that there were more than a few homes in the Superior Marshall Fire that had sprinkler systems, and they burned to the ground just like all the other ones. No change there. Not saying they don't work. They absolutely do work, and there's a reason why we want them in multifamily. But as those residents were rebuilding their homes, they found it to be too incredibly expensive to build to the 2024 code specifically, which included sprinklers and other things. So the code was suspended and brought back to the 2018 code, not just for sprinklers, but everything else relative to building code, to help with the affordability question for these residents who had suffered so much already. So I have trouble, I hear your point, Councilmember Pfeiffer, I really do, but I have trouble knowing that, not acknowledging that there is this significant cost difference with the code changes. I can't put my finger on any one thing except for sprinklers at this moment, but I know that there's a cost. Otherwise, why would they go to the trouble to regress in their code?
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I just also wanted to point out that homeless folks is a reason, using that population and saying, oh, we need housing affordability for the homeless. Arvada's prices are, as Councilmember Pfeiffer pointed out, still very expensive even with the breaks that we have with the developer community that surrounding communities do not have. And I feel that folks who are housing insecure or homeless are not the buyers of new homes. And I don't think that homes being cheaper by 1% to 3% is a game changer, because it just assumes that homelessness and housing affordability is only about supply. But there are so many factors that go into home affordability, and I also think that the population of people who are housing insecure and homeless are not going to be helped by this amendment either, because it's for single-family detached housing, which is also not, if you're stepping back into a more secure life, you're probably going to a multifamily, to a naturally occurring affordable housing unit first, or some sort of subsidized program first. You're not going to a brand new $500,000, $1.3 million build that this ordinance would largely affect. So I still think that this amendment is that we should that we should adopt the full code, and I think there are so many other factors about affordability and making sure that folks get housed and that housing insecure folks don't get pushed out that this ordinance does not affect.
Thank you. Councilmember Griffith.
I agree, and I'm glad that that point was brought up there at the end, and appreciate the statement in its entirety. I think that there is an economic argument to make here that the top-tier new homes that are built in some way will measurably impact the cost at the bottom tier, whatever that is, if it's rental property, if it's multifamily, if it's even if we're looking at group homes. We're looking at a number of different things that could be affected by the cost per square foot at the top of the market. We're operating in an ecosystem of economics, so there has to be a downstream effect. And what I'm trying to illustrate here is that anything we can do to lower the cost of housing of any type is going to have a net benefit. Whether or not I can measure that right here from the dais is difficult to say, but just simple economics dictates that there would be some benefit there.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Well, we haven't had sprinklers to date, and I haven't seen that, your argument. Just pointing it out, today, we have not had sprinklers.
Yeah.
And your argument of saying it's not affordable or it's too expensive or adds undue cost.
Right.
It does not exist today and has not changed the environment. So keeping it out is not going to change how it is today still.
It's going to add $2 to $3 per square foot.
It's going to add.
That's a measurable difference.
It's going to add about 1% or 8.8 to 1% more to the cost of a home. So yeah, for somebody who, if you look at the cost of the homes they're representing, Taylor Morris, you're averaging about $1 million homes out in Candelas, because that's where I live, right? Trailstone, Cardell. Your townhouses start at $600,000. So don't worry, I live out there. I've been into your places, but the homes they represent are not affordable homes, and so adding 0.9 or 0.8% to a home to make it safer, I don't see the argument. So again, I'd like, if there's more discussion, fine.
I have one last comment.
Well,
I'm almost wanting to call.
I think we've had a very robust discussion. I have not an opportunity to weigh in, so I will do that quickly, and then I'm going to call for a vote on the amendment. Is that all right? So I will not be supporting this amendment, and I agree with a number of the arguments that have been made by my fellow council members this evening on this, that the lives matter, and I've seen a lot of evidence that adding sprinklers to new builds is extremely beneficial to those that are in the home as well as our firefighters. And that, yes, there is a cost that comes to that, but I believe also that the evidence has been provided that we can really balance that cost with opportunities for trade-off code adjustments, and I trust our code team to really work with the builders to help them make that happen. And I also believe that our building community can make this happen and make it work for us. And to, I think, Councilmember Pfeiffer's point, we look to our neighboring communities of Lakewood and Westminster who've been doing this much longer than we have, and I have not seen evidence that their housing prices are more than ours because of sprinklers. And so I don't buy that argument. So I will be not supporting this amendment, and I'm now calling for us to vote on the
amendment.
Yes, this is on the amendment to remove sprinklers from the code.
Okay.
All votes are cast, and that fails on a 4-2 vote with Mayor Simpson being excused. Okay, now to the underlying motion without the amendment. We had a motion by Councilmember Pfeiffer, so I will ask for us to vote on the motion of Senate Council Bill. Excuse me. It's 9:16. Give me some grace. On Council Bill 26-005. So please begin voting on that.
I have a question.
I need to start. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Griffith, please. My apologies.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the robust discussion tonight, and I I think there's a lot of really good points made, and I don't think this is a slam dunk either way, obviously. But I appreciate having the opportunity to discuss these issues. I think they're important. I think they're important to our residents. I think they're important to folks that want to build in our city, and I think they're important to folks that save lives every day in the fire department. So I think it warrants a in-depth discussion. The final thing that I will say, Councilmember Pfeiffer, regarding your comment, a $600,000 home that is 1 to 3% less in cost encourages somebody with a $500,000 home that wants to move, which encourages somebody and frees up a home that wants a $500,000 that's in a $400,000 home. It creates a mobility of basically transitioning from one home to another, and it does have a trickle-down effect. I can't say that Taylor Morrison or any home builder that builds luxury homes is not having an effect on the marketplace because their homes are unaffordable or too high in cost.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Well, a former council member that was on here always said the market dictates the price. Builders are not building cost-plus housing. They are building at market rate. So the discussion again goes to, do they want to take a margin hit on it? Because the market's going to dictate what the price of that home is. If it was cost-plus, absolutely your argument would probably flow with me. But I have not met a builder that does cost plus 15%, which would probably be better for them if I said that out loud, because I think it's 8 to 12% is what they make. But, you know, at the end of the day, if it was that, I could see that argument, but it's market driven. So the difference is we're talking about margins for builders.
Thank you for that, and I will make my motion, or not my motion, sorry, my vote. I am not in favor of this due to the affordability concerns that I've outlined. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone has voted, and so that passes on a 5-1 with Mayor Simpson being excused.
I can make the next motion.
Please do, Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Okay.
We're on CB 26-006.
Oh, 006. Sorry, I was on a 007. So I got it. I move that Council Bill 26-006, an ordinance repealing and reenacting Chapter 42, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Arvada Fire Code or City Code, through adoption by reference of the 2024 International Fire Code published by the International Code Council, and establishing penalties for violation thereof, be approved on final reading number 4922 and ordered published by title only.
Do I have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, you may begin voting. All members have voted. That passes 6-0 with Mayor Simpson excused.
I move that Council Bill 26007, an ordinance enacting a new Chapter 106 of the City Code of the City of Arvada, Colorado, relating to the establishment of the Arvada Wildfire Resiliency Code, be approved on final reading number 4923 and ordered published by title only.
Okay, before you vote, I have Councilmember Griffith who would like to speak.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The concern I have with this particular one has to do with the landscaping requirements that I discussed in the open discussion portion of the meeting. There are very few native plants that work in Colorado. Juniper's, various versions of it, is one of them. The other materials that are in there relative to landscape are also of concern. The proximity that you can plant trees, I think that there's a discussion to have there about wildfires and potential fuel. But I think without knowing that this was completely vetted by landscape architects, botanists, ecologists, individuals that would understand the complexities of the living systems and how important and essential they are to mitigate things like heat island, to address issues like we've talked about with climate change, oxygenation of the atmosphere, mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, growy things do all of that. I am significantly concerned about what would happen if we build concrete moats around every house that we construct. I understand it mitigates fire issues, and I appreciate that, but we need to think about this in terms of trade-offs, what we're going to get versus what we're going to lose. And from what I see, this is a great idea that needs further evaluation, so I'm not going to be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, thank you. Refresh my memory, Fire Marshal Parker. You did say that the state of Colorado was was involved in selecting working on the
I'm sorry.
landscaping.
Getting direction from our city attorney that we cannot be asking questions
Oh.
right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're after the point now where we've done the discussion.
Yes.
So right now, what we need to be doing is the debate.
Yes.
And so that's the discussion, trying to persuade each other whether or not we should be moving forward. So that's where we're at right now in terms from a procedural perspective.
Thank you so much for that clarification.
And that was what I was trying to do, but I just couldn't remember what agency helped. And I just found it, the Colorado State Forest Service helped with the Zone 2 defensible space plants. So somebody has looked at these plants and plantings around the home, so it's not a concrete moat. And I would prefer these plants be put in and some other fire suppression material. I know that a lot of folks like those river rocks. I hate river rocks. Those are ankle breakers. And nobody ever uses the sidewalk when they're a river rock used for landscaping. They always walk across the river rock and then end up with a twisted ankle. And I have a feeling that when you're fighting a fire, that would be happening in your bunker gear. So somebody has looked in here, and they are less flammable. They do meet the wildfire resiliency code. So I think that that the work has been done to try to put something in that 5-foot barrier.
Okay, I will now open the voting. All votes have cast. That passes 5-1 with Mayor Simpson excused. That now closes our hearing portion of this evening. And we will now move on to public comment of any topic for 5 minutes. I believe we have no one signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak before council this evening during our 5-minute period? All right, seeing none, I will close that public comment period. And we move on to reports. Anyone from council who would like to provide a report? I see Councilmember Ambrose, you are first.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I just wanted to quickly say that City Manager Don Wick, myself, and Sharon Davis were in Washington last week for the National League of Cities. We worked hard to represent Arvada to our national delegation and represented the city's, our constituents' concerns about wildfire and transportation, especially about making sure that our transportation corridors will allow us to be able to evacuate in the event of a wildfire, but also really made some positive inroads with the congressional delegation on, how if there's a fire in Boulder, they need to be able to come south, and if there's a fire in Arvada, they need to be able to go north. Like, it's a whole regional cooperation that we need to have around transportation. And we also thanked our Congress members for their support, such as Congresswoman Pedersen for helping with things, with funding for things like the North Trunk Line and many other ways that we are connected, and represented our concerns for things like the HUD program cuts for the Suburban Studios programming and how can we work together, because I think it really shows that our federal government can deliver for us when we're working with the municipal government, making sure that things happen for our constituents every day. Like, you can take a shower now in where the North Trunk Line is servicing, right? Because we were able to secure the funding for that to be able to be drained away. And it's just really important we have that cooperation across governments. And nationally, it seemed to be that the National League of Cities is very much focused on housing affordability at a national level with the updating of several national acts and also, of course, preserving local control. So thanks so much for folks who went and for all the staff who helped us prepare to make sure that we were speaking coherently to our representatives about what the city needs and what our residents need.
Thank you, Councilmember Ambrose. And Councilmember Davis, you're next.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we had a very, what I think, successful trip to DC and visit to the Hill. So we were able to talk to other congressmen, Joe Neguse, and we had presentations from Jason Crow. So that was very positive. We talked a lot about partnership versus preemption from the federal level to the state to the local level. We also spoke about immigration and its effects on the state and local communities, and in our business community, the fear within our communities, and how the immigration is being held, what's going on at the federal level, and how that's affecting us here at home. And everyone was very open to listening to our message. So I just want everybody in the city to know that we carried your messages, we heard you, and the people that are sitting on the Hill also heard you. And I want you to know that they are working to make things work for us here in Arvada.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Next, I have Councilmember Levison.
Thank you so much. So we have the fire department here, and some of you may or may not know that there is a friendly competition involving stuffed animals and toys between the fire department and the police department. They're collecting donations of new and unused, so not the ones you're trying to get rid of from your toddler, stuffed toys for the Rocky Mountain Children's Health Foundation, and this is till March 31st. You can check out our website, Facebook posts, and then find the locations, and you can choose your side and where your stuffies or stuffed animals will go. So I would recommend everybody just buy a couple and send them one way or the other.
Thank you, Councilmember. Well, I will close this out with reports. I have two. One is that I had the opportunity to go see the Arvada Center's production of Romeo and Juliet last weekend. A very awesome production. I would recommend. I realized that as many times as I've read the play, I've never actually seen it performed live, and it's very well worth it to go and see it live if you have not done that, or if you have. I think it's a phenomenal production that really, I think, is poignant in looking at some of the current conflicts and issues that we are facing today. So I think that is worth checking out, and that's running till the end of the month. And then my second announcement is that I had the opportunity to see Mayor Simpson on Saturday. She's doing very well, and sends her best to us. And I think I speak for all of us that we continue to send her the healing vibes that she needs post-surgery and recouping from that. So those are my announcements. Yes, Councilmember Griffith.
Just real quick, I wanted to acknowledge and send my appreciation. Mayor Pro Tem Moorman has done an amazing job in Mayor Simpson's absence, and I think we should acknowledge that. You've been in this role many times before, but I think this one, you're flying solo. You did a great job. I just wanted to call attention to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Griffith. I really appreciate that. City Manager Wick, do you have a report for us?
Thank you. Next week is the 5th Tuesday of the month, so we won't have a council meeting. So we will see you all on April 7th.
Thank you. And City Attorney Morris, do you have a report for us?
Nothing from me, Your Honor.
Very good. Well, with that, we are adjourned.